evening, everyone. We're going to call to order tonight's meeting of the Township of Bernard Zoning Board of Adjustment. The first item of the agenda is a flag salute, so please stand if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirement of the Open Public Meeting Law, notice of this meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Bernards was posted on the bulletin board in the reception hall of the municipal building, Collier Lane, Basking Ridge, New Jersey. It was also mailed to the Bernardsville News, Whippany, New Jersey, the Courier News in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and it was also filed with the Township Clerk, all on January 9th of this year, and was mailed electronically to all those who had requested individual notice. The following procedure has been adopted by the Bernards Township Zoning Board of Adjustment. There will be no new cases heard after 10 o'clock tonight and no new testimony heard after 10:30 tonight. Ms. Slayman, can you please do a roll call for us?
Chairwoman Janeer.
Here.
Dr. Agrawal.
Here.
Ms. Padici.
Here.
Ms. Baumann.
Here.
Ms. Pakhtar.
Here.
Ms. Silver.
Here.
Mr. Sobieski.
Here.
Mr. Quinn.
Here.
Mr. Sly.
Here.
And for the record, Ms. Lehman is present. Madam Chair, you have the floor. You may proceed.
Thank you, Ms. Slayman. I think we had some notice that some members were going to be unable to be here tonight. Can you let us know who those were?
That's correct. Ms. Trabb, Ms. Herrera, and Mr. Kraus.
Excellent.
I'd like to move that we excuse the absences of those three members.
Thank you, Ms. Padici.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Pakhtar.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our June 4th meeting of this year. They were circulated in advance. If there's any comments or corrections or suggestions on those, or a motion to approve as drafted.
I move that they be approved as drafted.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, I don't think I can do it because
Okay.
I left early.
Yeah, I would.
I don't think I'm eligible.
Thank you. Okay,
I'll
thank
make
you.
a motion to approve as drafted.
Thank you, Ms. Pakhtar. No, still second. Okay, thank you, Ms. Baumann. So Ms. Pakhtar and Ms. Baumann.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you.
I think Ms. Silver.
I'm going to abstain as well.
And
Ms.
Ms. Padici.
I guess I'll abstain
Yeah.
because I left early.
That makes sense. Next on the agenda is 6A, is the approval of a resolution for Grand Home Investments, which was ZB 25004. Any comments or motions on that resolution?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve as drafted.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So that was Ms. Baumann and Ms. Padici in that order.
Just gonna verify that he's eligible on that one. so.
Dr. Agrawal
Yes.
is not eligible to vote on the resolution for grant.
Okay. And everyone else here is good?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Padici?
Yes.
Ms. Baumann?
Yes.
Ms. Pakhtar?
Yes.
Ms. Silver?
Am I eligible even though I wasn't at the last meeting?
Were you done?
On
You have
Grand
it.
Homes?
Were you here for the May meeting?
This was from May.
This was from the.
Yeah, this is the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's,
You're-
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Janeer?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next one up was 6B as a Zudin, which is ZB 25005. Comments or motions?
I have one little thing if the board doesn't.
Thank you.
Right on the first page in the fourth line where it says 764, that should be 4,764.
Yes.
It'd be a pretty small house.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Sy.
So you're good.
Did that get changed on the second page as well?
I think
It did
it's
get
correct-
changed,
it's
which was
correct on-
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. It didn't go through somehow.
Any other changes or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
And I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann and Ms. Padici.
Dr. Agarwal is also not eligible to vote on this one. Ms. Padici,
Yes.
Ms. Baumann,
Yes.
Ms. Packard,
Yes.
Ms. Silver,
Yes.
Chairwoman Janier.
Yes. Okay, next one is 6C, which is Raymond, ZB 25006. Any comments or motions, please?
I will make a motion to approve as drafted.
Thank you, Ms. Packer.
I have a question.
Oh, hang on one sec.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Is Cindy signing these, or is Ms. Lehman, and was that changed?
Oh.
Thank you.
Is she coming back because she was to sign?
Is Cindy signing any more of these resolutions, or are you, Ms. Lehman? Don't know.
These,
Big pension signing.
I think we initially planned on getting these adopted last month, so that's why Cindy's name shows
Yeah.
on there. But, I mean, it's a very simple,
Okay, but we can,
Yeah, there's a
can we
change.
approve subject to the right signature,
Yeah,
whether it's
absolutely.
Ms. Lehman or
Yeah.
Ms. Keeper?
absolutely.
Okay, but that also goes to the others.
Yes, for all of them that we'll do
Yes.
tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve subject to the changes.
Thank you, Ms. Packard.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann.
This one as well, Dr. Agarwal is not eligible to vote on. Ms. Padici,
Yes.
Ms. Baumann,
Yes.
Ms. Packard,
Yes.
Ms. Silver,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Lehman. Next on the agenda is 6D Druckenmiller. This one was circulated. I think there are some more significant changes that need to be done, so we are going to postpone that one until our next meeting. That's okay. So we're not going to vote on 6D. The next on the agenda is 6E, the Ptolsky case, which was ZB 25008. So we'll have the same comment on the signature.
Actually, this one I.
Oh, no, this one says Lehman.
Yeah, this one I did. 'Cause we did
Okay,
this one
so
last
we'll
month,
also make this subject to whoever the right signature is, okay?
There are some typos, but they're minor. I mean, I would make a motion to approve them with the minor typos.
Okay,
So they're not substantive.
Nothing
substantive.
substantive, no.
I will second that.
okay, thank you, Ms. Baumann and Ms. Proctor.
Ms. Silver is not eligible to vote on this one.
Okay.
Dr. Agarwal,
Yes.
Ms. Padici,
Yes.
Ms. Baumann,
Yes.
Ms. Packard,
Yes.
Chairwoman Janier.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Resolution 2507, which was a change order for the professional service contract for the zoning attorney. I think that has been circulated in advance. If there's any comments on it or a motion to approve as drafted.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve as drafted.
Thank
And I
you.
will second.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann and Ms. Padici. Is that also a roll call vote? Okay, it's another roll call vote, so
Thank you.
everybody here can vote.
Dr. Agarwal,
Yes.
Ms. Padici,
Yes.
Ms. Baumann,
Yes.
Ms. Packard,
Yes.
Ms. Silver,
Yes.
Chairwoman Janier.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the completeness and public hearing for Panucci, which is carried from at least last month. I don't know if it was double carried.
I think it was double carried.
I think it was double carried.
The first hearing on this.
Yes.
Madam Chair, for the record, I did review the video and I signed the form, so I am prepared to vote on it.
Thank you, Ms. Panucci, we appreciate you doing that.
We know the Silver did the same.
Oh, Ms. Silva, you did that. Thank you for watching the video. It's not the easiest thing to do.
You can always put it on double speed.
It's hard enough to hear sometimes.
And we all sound like Mickey and Minnie. That's
Yeah.
not good.
I'm not sure, yes, as you indicated, we did carry this from the board's last meeting, last month, June 4th. It had been carried from, actually, I think we've already started the testimony, but it had been carried from April 9th, subsequently carried to June 4th. Long and short of it is the board still has the jurisdiction to decide the cases we carry.
Thank you. Hi.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, board professionals, Frederick Zelli, Post Pollock, on behalf of the applicants. As indicated, we did start the hearing at the last meeting. We had 3 witnesses lined up. We had 2 give in-depth testimony, being Ms. Panuccia herself and our architect. And this evening, we just have 1 witness, Mr. Cunningham, who's our engineer. Just to refresh the board's recollection, this is regarding 21 Pitney Court, Block 5502, Lot 14. It's in your RC4 residential cluster zone. We're seeking several variances for an addition to the home, namely coverage variance, where we're actually improving the existing conditions slightly. I won't go through the numbers again because we've been through them all, and they're, of course, in Mr. Schley's memo as well. Floor area, not floor area ratio, but floor area. And finally, everybody's favorite ordinance, the swimming pools not being behind the line. Neither of our neighbors are behind our line, and we're not behind either one of theirs, and that's just how that works, because it's a cul-de-sac. So, as I indicated, our last witness will be Mr. Cunningham. He's going to go through the coverage issues, show us where the swimming pools are, and then see what the board wants to do if you have questions at any point in time. Otherwise, we'll go through a closing. I believe everybody was sworn in already. I don't know if you want to re-swear. If so, I'd ask for all 3 of my witnesses to be sworn, just to be case. Yeah, okay. Then, Mr. Fernandez, Ms. Panuccia, if you want to come up for a moment.
Might as well get David Township, you guys. Sorry, I'll raise your hands. Do all 5 of you swear or affirm that the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and the truth, so
I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. I think we need to call upon Mr. Cunningham.
Yes. Mr. Cunningham, would you start by giving us your full name and business address, please?
My name is Robert M. Cunningham. My business address is 213 Newton Swartzwood Road, Newton, New Jersey.
And you are a licensed professional engineer of the state of New Jersey?
I am, and I have been since 1986.
And your license is still in good standing this evening?
It is.
Have you testified in front of land use boards during your career?
I have several, many counties in northern Jersey, so.
I would ask that Mr. Cunningham be accepted as expert in the field of professional engineering.
Yes, we'll accept them. Thank you.
Mr. Cunningham, are you going to work off paper, or do I understand you might have stuff on the screens?
I think we'll take a crack at this first.
This is the earlier one, and this is the latest one,
Right.
Exhibit A5. And you can resize it however you.
Okay, so the drawing that we have on the screen right now is the latest issue of the my grading and drainage plan, which was the
Is this A5 that he's going to refer to?
Yeah, this is Exhibit A5 that was entered as an exhibit at
Right.
the very end of the last meeting.
Right,
but we
so
didn't
he's
discuss
going to
it
put
at all.
A5 up on the screen?
Yes, that's A5.
Okay, thank you.
Would you, let's just start, if you would, take us through the existing conditions on the site?
Okay, so in the existing conditions, the house is basically in the center of the lot. There's an existing driveway with a back-out area that services a left-end ground entry garage. In the backyard, there are some existing decks, low-to-the-ground type of decks. And there's also an existing swimming pool, which is in the area where I'm moving the cursor right now. Basically, the drainage pattern is that the backyards of these existing homes, basically from the house forward, they drain out towards the street. The roof areas on the two adjacent houses are, according to township records, directed to dry wells. The roof leaders on the house on the lot in question are all piped to the storm drain in the street. And any rainwater that falls in these backyards flows through one, through the other, all the way down to Springhouse Lane, where runoff flows over the curb and into a storm drain inlet there.
I'm going to stop you for just a second. Mr. Sly, should we be seeing something on these two screens? And if not, is there a way to fix it?
It's up on the smaller screen.
It is what it is? Okay.
Okay.
Thought I would ask.
We can see them behind you.
You can see this one, okay?
Oh, okay. All right, then, all right. I didn't realize
Smaller
that
than this one.
you could see that from here, so. Essentially, there are a few mature trees throughout the backyard. Some of those are proposed to be removed by this.
How many?
But-
Can you tell us?
I believe it's 3. I don't know if my demolition plan is on here.
A5 is only the one sheet.
Okay.
Go to the PDF, it's also open, that has the 3 sheets.
Where is that?
At the bottom. Should be the only.
It's not-
Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's the online file,
Mhm.
that one.
Okay. Okay, so
So, Mr. Cunningham, what sheet are you gonna be referring to?
this sheet is, SE-1.
The last revised date on that one?
The last revised date on that was May 19th.
May 18th, 2025?
Yes,
May 19th.
So we got it.
so,
Just making sure it's-
And I'm sorry, so how many trees are coming down?
so there are 3 trees indicated to be removed.
Now, if you would please take us through the changes proposed for the site and how coverage and drainage will be changed as a result of it.
Okay. So, on this sheet, on the SE-1, there's a hatched area all along the left side of the driveway, which is,
Let's talk, do we want SE1 or do we want Exhibit 5?
this is SE-1.
Okay.
So, this is where this shows the removals and things, so. On the left side of the driveway, there's a variable width section of the blacktop that'll be removed from the sidewalk all the way back to the rear of the driveway. And that would remove 480 square feet of impervious coverage. There.
Mr. Cunningham, while you're talking about that apron, do you know what the dimension left between the garage door and the edge of the asphalt will be?
You know what, I might have mentioned that on the last. I don't have it dimension. It might, is it dimension on, maybe on the paper drawing? This might be. So. Okay, so it's 30 feet.
Thank you.
Okay.
And what other changes are we proposing?
Okay, so we're proposing to remove, there's areas like an L-shape hatched-in area right off the back of the house, which is an on-grade deck, where I have the cursor pointing right now, and behind the deck, there's a concrete pool deck that surrounds an in-ground swimming pool, and all of those improvements would be removed. And the proposal is to basically the swimming pool and the deck configuration has been redesigned. Now I'm referring to sheet SE2, which is the site plan. So there's an addition that was discussed in detail by Mr. Fernandez last meeting, which is basically straight out behind the existing garage end of the house. And there's a reconfiguration of these ground level decks to now be associated with a swimming pool, which is oriented with the long axis front to back, where in the existing pool, the long axis is left to right. There's also a proposal to create a stairwell that would permit ingress and egress from the basement, and that would come off the right side of the, there's a room that bumps out in the center of the house in the rear, and the stairs would come up, going to the right and up, and they would come up to a small section of that proposed deck. The relocation of the pool, what that creates a condition where we have an opportunity to do some drainage work, and we did have discussions with the neighbor next door. Mr. Begg had some concerns, and he appeared here last time, and so though his concerns have been satisfied by what we presented to him. So essentially, the drainage that's proposed, I'm flipping down now to sheet SE3. The drainage, what we're proposing is to capture as much as is practical to do of this runoff that runs through our property and across to the neighbor. And to accomplish that, we're proposing to construct a manhole in the edge of the street to tie into the existing municipal storm drain, and run a 12-inch pipe back parallel with the property line to a proposed inlet, which would be just behind a fence, which is proposed to come off the corner of the house over to the property line, and then branch off to two other smaller inlets, one in the area where I'm pointing, and then also continue straight back to another inlet just short of the, there's an easement line, that's the gas pipeline easement that's in the back of the property. So we would just accentuate, there are some existing swales, but we have the opportunity to make them a little more defined and to take a couple low spots out, which tend to hold a little bit of water from time to time, and direct the water around the back of the pool to the rear inlet. The water the runoff water that presently comes across in front of the existing pool, now there's a little there's a little belly by the corner of the house under the existing condition, which we're able to eliminate that and continue that drainage on, and then out to the street. And also, at the same time, we're providing a connection for the filter equipment, so when the pool would be pumped down, it wouldn't have to be pumped onto the ground. It would be just, it would be tied right into the storm drain, and at that point, we would, and whenever they had to lower the water in the pool, we wouldn't be directing it towards the neighbor.
Mr. Cunningham, you are referring to SC3 as amended on June 4th, not the original SC3 on May the 21st.
So right now, are you looking at the original, or should we go back to A5?
Yeah, let me go back to A5. The drainage is essentially the same on both of those, but
I just wanted to know what SC3 we were looking at.
okay. Yeah, well, I just scrolled down to the original one at the time, but, so, let me go back to the SC3 that was revised. The only difference really is there's some yellow highlighting on the A5 exhibit. And they were, that was just something that Mr. Begg next door had hired an engineer to look at our plans, and he made a comment about if we could just reconfigure one of the contour lines just a little bit so that he could be satisfied that we were actually going to force the water to go into the inlet. And then also, there along the property line, under existing conditions, there's a planted area now which does form a little bit of a berm. And they requested that we, in the new landscape plan, that we either leave that or take it out and create a new one in its stead. So those are the items that were highlighted in the yellow.
Mr. Cunningham, let me just ask you for something for the record. My understanding, and please correct me if I misstate anything, we have inlets, basically two functions, shall we say. One is for overflow of our stormwater management that we're designing and constructing new. And then the other is capturing water that is currently going down and picking up, going into the storm system in Springhouse.
Correct.
So that water, in my understanding, as you've discussed this with board professionals, we would typically not be allowed to do that. But since it's recognized that that water is already going to the storm sewer just at a different location, my understanding, and board professionals can also correct me if I'm wrong, that design was allowed to be presented to the board. Is that, have I stated that correctly?
That's my understanding, yes. So the dry well that's indicated on the drawing is that's to pick up the roof runoff from the existing, from the proposed addition. And because of the configuration of the roof, the addition in plan view, it looks like a rectangle, but the way the roof lines are, there's a triangular area of the existing roof that's going to come down in two valleys and also wind up being tributary to that dry well. So if one were to look at the drainage, the calculation, and then look at just the footprint of the addition, it doesn't look like from the footprint of the addition that we're capturing as much roof runoff as I say in the calculations, but it is in fact due to the way the roof is pitched. So
So you could be grabbing more than just the roof from the addition. You could grab
some of the existing
That's fine,
garage, yeah.
As long as the number that's on the plan and the highlighted area on the sheet corresponds.
Okay.
Would you take us through the coverage changes for variance purposes?
Okay.
And you can do whichever order you want. I'd also like you to show the board where the different lines are for the rear building lines versus swimming
For the
pools.
swimming pool, yeah. No. I'm going to go back to the SE3, actually, excuse me, SE2, because that's where all that information is. So. Come on.
Go to your table, it's top right.
So, the existing house next door, there's a bump out on the back of the house which didn't show up on the survey,
Which
but,
one are you talking about? 13 or,
excuse me?
which house are you talking about?
The house, on lot.
To the right or to the left?
To the right, I
That would
believe
be
it's
15,
15,
Beggs
yeah, the Mr. Beggs lot, yeah. So their house has a bump out in the back that didn't show up on the survey, but it shows up clearly on aerial images that are available. And those aerial images agree with the original plan for their house, which was available through an OPA request from the township. So essentially, there's a line that goes through about the front quarter of our swimming pool where there just really isn't enough room behind that line to do in this design scheme, a viable size swimming pool that wouldn't be in a variance situation. And the same is true for the house on the left side. As a matter of fact, the rear line, if you took a line parallel to the rear line of the house on the left, it almost hardly cuts across any of the Panucci's backyard, so that it's really an impossibility to comply with something like that, so.
And with regard to the line for lot 15 to the right, we can't move the pool any further back because of the gas line easement.
There's a gas line easement, which is, so that essentially, what that does is, it becomes, the rear offset line for the pool, instead of being 20 feet, becomes 25, because that's the dimension of the easement.
And just as a notation, both of those lots, swimming pools, are also not completely behind our building line, is that accurate?
Our existing building line, that's correct. Yeah, so when you have a road that's curved to the left and you're looking at the lots above it, that's going to be the situation on almost any of those lots. And on the other side of the street, where it's curved the other way, you probably don't have you wouldn't have those conditions, so.
And if you would, just take it off of your table, coverage, existing and proposed.
So, let me see. Gotta zoom in on this a little bit. So under the existing conditions, we have a total impervious coverage area of 6,176 square feet, and that's 23.09% of the lot area. After doing the removals that we're proposing, the additions that we're proposing, we wind up with a total impervious coverage area of 6,170 square feet, which is 23.06%. So you're only talking about a 6 square foot reduction in impervious coverage.
And those are gross figures, so to speak. They do not take account any reduction, for recognition, it's probably a better word, for pool water surface, which is stormwater neutral.
That's correct.
So, the source of the reductions appear to be, the driveway, right?
Correct,
Removing the driveway. And the fact that you've converted what was a concrete patio around the pool to a composite deck.
Yes.
So all of that
Mhm.
area, that's
Yes.
why.
Yep.
That's how that
That's
balances.
how it works out that way. No.
Mr. Zelli, can you help us with the address on some of these lots? Like lot 15, like what is that address? It's right next to 21.
If you look, you should have, what we marked as Exhibit A, which is the packet of.
I think 15, lot 15 was 1554.
It is.
Yeah. As far as I remember.
Yeah, that's the lot to the right as you're looking at the
Okay,
plans
so
the way.
15 is 15.
And lot 13 is street number 23.
If,
So the house to the west.
The house, yes,
And lot 13 is 23 that you recorded.
it's address 23.
Okay.
your Exhibit A3, which is the property assessment data,
Yes.
actually lays them all out for you.
Oh, no,
Yeah, 15 is the only one that corresponds with itself.
Oh, I see that, I see the lot number, thank you. So when you said, can I just ask you, when you said the aerial photo didn't show the bump out on 15, but this data is actually correct?
Excuse me?
That we're looking at on A3, the big chart of data with respect to
That,
footage of living area, that number is accurate on A3, even though it doesn't match with the picture, is that correct?
A3 being,
He testified that the survey didn't show the bump out.
oh, the
aerial
sur,
photography
my
does.
plans were,
I just want to know, is this data correct, though?
Yeah, this date is correct just by its own date of March
Okay,
10th of this
so-
year.
So
So
this
yes.
is correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
yeah, but when the survey was done for this project, they located the closest parts of the adjacent homes. They didn't plot the entirety of those homes on the survey.
May I ask a question? How does the size of the new pool compare to the pool that existed prior?
I don't remember off the top of my head the exact difference, but the new pool is somewhat bigger.
I think,
You've got it
It's
on.
on the
coverage
plan,
number.
yeah.
It's on-
is
coverage,
Mr.
yeah,
Schuyler's
it's on
thing,
sheet
I think
two.
it's 650
Yeah.
square feet.
So,
Okay, thank you.
648 versus 366
366.
and 648.
648, I think Mr. Sly laid those numbers out, so that's 2.4% is coming from the assessment.
Yep, I'm sorry,
think so.
were you waiting for confirmation? Is that-
Yeah, I think we're on board.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a lot of exhibits coming back.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not. They're definitely not.
It would be nice if we just made the lot numbers the number on the street. That's, we're not gonna solve that tonight. Okay.
I don't believe I have anything further for Mr. Cunningham at this time.
Additional questions for the engineer at this time? From the board or attorney?
Actually, I do have one, I don't want to steal
No, go
Mr.
ahead.
Sly's thunder. I refer you to just trying to touch on the engineering and some of the variances and issues here. The side yard setback, the side and rear yard setbacks of the deck. I think there's a comment in Mr. Sly's note number 5. He's suggesting some changes to the deck in order to eliminate the need for those variances. I don't know if we touched on that last time. but
I
then
think we addressed all of those on A5, did we not?
Yeah, I looked at A5, the copy of A5 that I have is a reduced 11 by 17 that everybody else has, so it's not to scale. But eyeballing it up, or more accurate than eyeballing it up, but it looks like they took care of all that. And I can, well, one question I have, the the area of the deck that is attached to the house, that was reduced, and I would think that that was reduced down to at least 600 square feet, so it qualifies for the exemption from the yard, the 50-foot rear yard setback. That was one of the comments in my memo.
And we complied with that.
So it is 600 square
Yes,
feet?
yeah.
Okay, so, and then the other comments about having the 10 feet between the decks, they look like they're there. I would say that would be subject to further review when we have a scaled drawing, but if they're off by a little, it's gonna be a foot or something, they can massage here and there. So I think A5, subject to a little more detailed review, complies with my comment number 5.
Meaning they don't need the variance.
Meaning they eliminated the need for those variances by
Gotcha.
reconfiguring the decking and also reducing the size of the main deck to 600 square feet.
Perfect. That's fine. Thank you, Dave.
And of course, it's all gonna be open decking, that's
Yes.
another big part of that. Oh, and the one other thing, it looks like the outdoor kitchen is gone.
That's been deleted.
That needed to be
Yeah, that's been
gone
deleted, yes.
to qualify as an open deck. One of the same as the 600 square foot condition.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another reason why it looks to be compliant.
That was, the only one I had. I don't know if you guys want to go through those, or, I mean, you guys are gonna comply with everything, we put them on there, and
Yeah, it's our understanding that we're down to the lot coverage, the floor area, and the pool locations,
right.
as far as variances go.
Yeah, I guess one is well confirmed, floor area proposed is 4,568 feet, square feet.
Yes.
Okay. 23.06% lot coverage, and the pool location.
Correct.
You guys are gonna comply with all the comments in the memos?
So, Mr. Cunningham, you didn't have any issues with either Mr. Quinn's or Mr. Schley's memos that we haven't already addressed, did you?
No, I'm good with all that.
Okay. And the environmental commission, memo I have to, of course,
Yes.
carries water on
Me
that.
too.
Okay. All right, so I don't think they numbered them, but I'll go through them because I haven't listed out. They wanted you to revise the plans to show the proposed tracking pad at topsoil pile location. That's something you guys can do?
Yeah, we're gonna submit a complete application to the Soil Conservation District, and they'll show all that on there, so.
They want you to employ best stormwater, best management practices during site work and as part of final site grading and restoration. They want you to employ best management practices to preserve and protect trees during site work. Make a good faith best effort to install site features to prevent the recharge of stormwater from roof leaders. You guys have already made stormwater management through that here, so it's not applicable. Make a good faith best effort to plant native trees and shrubs, and then use native hardwood species for any proposed replacement trees. Oh, and then make a good faith best effort to recycle, repurpose, or get any demolished material that's not being used in this application. Those are their suggested conditions, so you guys are okay with applying all those?
Yes.
Is there a landscape plan proposed, or will there be landscape?
There will be, yes,
Okay.
yeah. Some of that was shown graphically in the initial presentation last time.
Okay,
but,
so you'll work to
But,
include.
yeah, there'll be a landscape plan. It'll probably be presented in color, so it's pretty easy to figure out what we're proposing, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the engineer this time? Thank you.
I have no further witnesses. As promised, just one tonight.
I have an additional question. I might go back to earlier testimony or earlier witnesses. Just with respect to the maximum floor area. Can you remind me, did we discuss if there were, I remember the reasons for the room and what the plan was. But were there any other plans considered, given, because it's a very big number, it seems to me a very big number relative to what's allowed and relative to the neighborhood. So I was just wondering if there was any other consideration or not.
So I think that question was posed at the end, Ms. Baumann, I think actually asked it. And I can ask Mr. Fernandez to address that.
Okay.
The key thing that I would ask everyone to remember, and I'll certainly discuss in closing, is there's kind of a flaw with the way the ordinance is set up, and it's well-intentioned, but what happens, since it's based on floor area, you can have a situation where you can have a building that's just a single story, a single floor, but 2 stories. You have a 2-story foyer, you can have a cathedral ceiling, great room, things along those lines, which present all the massing that creates the quote-unquote monster homes that floor area ordinances are supposed to prevent. Whereas you can have a house like the one being proposed, where the house isn't getting any wider at all, and bear in mind that your ordinance bases it on lot width. So we're not getting any wider at all. Even the large addition that you're referring to is primarily behind the house and not very visible from the street. And the extent that we're raising is still keeping the roof line lower than the main house roof line. So despite all of those things that presumably keep it from having that monster house appearance, we're still way over in numbers because we have 2 stories
putting a floor.
in the interior. And that's where the ordinance fails in its mission. And so, yeah, when you look at the numbers,
Yeah.
they're large, but that's the reason.
Okay. And do you agree with that, Mr. Sly, that we're flawed?
Yes, no, there's definitely a flaw. It's the same as,
No
your-
pun intended with the flaw.
The, also the fact that the ordinance excludes garage space and unheated space.
Right.
You can have a 5-car garage and it doesn't count, or a 6-car garage, or whatever you have the coverage for. So that's another not accounted for.
Right.
And in fact, right across the street, we have a huge detached garage. It's very, I assume compliant, but still very close to the house.
And other homes.
Definitely gives a massive.
Cathedral ceilings.
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions from the board, just given that exchange? Are there any questions from the public for our engineer? I don't see any. Okay, thank you.
Are we going to hear from Mr. Fernandez about the?
I was waiting here. Would you like to?
Yes.
You want me to close that?
I got a yes to my
Mr.
left.
Fernandez, would you come back up? We did hear that question posed at the end, and we presented it to you. What would be your suggestion to try to address that question?
Well, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Mr. Zelli on this, is that the point of the ordinance is to control the massing of the home. And because of the way we designed it, putting all of the mass in the rear, I think making it smaller solves a problem on paper, but it doesn't solve a real problem physically. It would just be for the sake of doing it. And from a neighbor's perspective or a neighborhood perspective, it would have minimal impact.
Thank you.
Sure.
Let me question. If we were to reduce, all we could really do would be to bring it back a little bit, and not go as far into the backyard, which would accomplish nothing in terms of what we're discussing. Is that fair to say?
Correct. I would keep the same line on the left you see here in Mr. Cunningham's drawing, lined up with the garage, and we would pull the house back.
Okay.
And every foot we pulled it back, it would be around, with 2 stories, around 100 square foot of, I'm sorry, every 1 foot would be around 50 square foot of house. So you make it 3 feet smaller, it's 300 square feet, it doesn't make a huge dent in that number. But it starts to seriously impact the functionality of the space. It's a billiards room, and every foot matters.
But if you not only reduced the size of the billiards room and then further reduced the size of the master closets and bathroom, you could even gain back more area and less mass from the side. I mean, I understand that the ordinance is focused on what we're looking at from the street, but there's a lot of massing even from the side. So you have this 500 square foot billiard room, which is larger than some studio apartments. And then you have on top of it, equal space with the bedroom, the bathroom, and closets. So if you reduce the size of the billiards room and reduce the size of maybe even just the closets, I mean, you could get a little bit of a stepped area and not such a large, massive wall on the
Understood.
side of the house.
Yeah, if we reduce the size of the billiards room, say 2 feet, that would be 50 square feet in the first floor. And if you reduced it, let's say 4 feet on the second floor to step back, that would be another 50 square, 50 square feet, right? And so you're looking at, 100 to 200 square feet.
51, too. It's 2 times 50, so it'd be 150 total.
Yeah.
50 plus 100, based on what you said.
Yeah. So my opinion is, yes, it does reduce the massing, but overall, from a neighborhood perspective, it would be such a marginal difference from somebody looking at the house from the side. It would take away functionality for, like I said, solving a problem on paper, but the only people who know we made it smaller are me and you. I mean, nobody would ever be able to look at the side and tell the difference, I don't think, in my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Any questions from the public? You ready to take public comment at this time, Mr. Zeller?
Sure.
Is there any comments on this application for or against this time? Good evening. Okay, one second.
Yes. Todd Edelstein, 172 Riverside Drive. It's supposed to be zoned for 20%. It's at more than 23%. I know it's existing, but in the testimony, the owner had said, this is the third house in town within 13 years. So this is not a novice. This is not somebody, oops. I'm sure they did their research. So I would like to see a little more reduction than 6 square feet. I mean, we hammer everybody else on this. It's only fair. That's what the ordinance is for. And I did question about ADA bathrooms and stuff like that. I know it's not required residential, it's commercial. But we're talking about a special needs child and a family member who has Parkinson's, who's even getting worse. And I think only would make, who's up there enough times, that I think it only makes sense to have a bathroom that's, complied ADA, so eventually he may be in a wheelchair or whatever. And if they have to move him around, it's only fair to do it than to do it later. You're doing the construction now. Now's the time to do it. The hallways, the staircase, whatever way for him, especially if the squad's got to come and pick him up, then they're going to be banging around. So all I'm asking is to look at it, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edelstein. Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the comments section. Mr. Zelli?
Thank you.
So I stole my own thunder by discussing the floor area a moment ago. So.
No, I appreciate your going over that again.
No problem. It's really critical in this application. So again, we're dealing with all both variances. I'm not going to discuss the pool. I think it's self-evident and it goes both directions. So unless someone has specific questions for me about that, I'm going to skip over that part. We're dealing with C1 and C2, especially with regard to the coverage. If you look at the average lot size in this neighborhood, we're actually on the smaller side, and of course that plays into the coverage issue. Yes, on the numbers, we are only going down 6 square feet, but as a practical matter, once you take the pool area into account, this surface water into account, if we had the average size lot, we would be looking at, including the pool area, surface area, if we had an average size lot, we'd be looking at 19.2, which would be compliant. And if we disregarded the pool surface water in that scenario, we'd be down at 17.2. So we're dealing with a situation here where you have, differences, drastic differences in lot sizes within the same neighborhood, and obviously this is it's a single cul-de-sac, we're dealing with 9 or 10 houses, and even within that small sample size, we have significant differences. So on the face of it, we're dealing with just 6 square feet, but in reality, it's significantly different, and it's actually fairly close to compliant, even with the size that we have when you take the pool water out of the equation. With regard to the floor area, I did go into that in detail. This is kind of the test case if we wanted to prove why floor area ordinances don't really do what they're supposed to do. This is the perfect example of it. We have a house that, once it's constructed as proposed, is certainly not monstrous compared to the other houses in the neighborhood. We have at least 3 or 4 houses in this street that are larger, more massive, more quote-unquote monstrous, and I'm just using that term because that's the term that the Supreme Court used in Rumson versus Mayor of Fairhaven. So we're looking at a house that, with the proposal, is going to be completely consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. Mr. Fernandez went into that in detail. And so we're seeking the ordinance because, due to the math, due to the fact that we have 2 floors within our added space instead of a 2-story cathedral ceiling type situation, we have a high number. But in terms of meeting the spirit of the ordinance and the whole purpose, we think we are not looking for anything significant really in terms of a deviation. Getting into the basics of your positive, negative, it's a C2 with regard to the floor area. We're not saying that we have a hardship, except to the extent that the lot width, since it's measured at the house, we are actually the smallest or one of the smallest lot widths. So we are limited by that. So to a degree, there's a C1, but basically it's a C2. Benefits, obviously, you've heard Ms. Panucci's testimony as to the reasons that they're doing this. And these are, even though they're unique to the applicant, these are health, safety, and general welfare issues. It's a benefit to the township to be able to have everybody in town, regardless of what their disabilities may be. So by accommodating them, both their son and grandparents, this is something that's favored in the town and something to be encouraged. And of course, just the general visual improvement and general conservation of property values and improvement of the housing stock. So all of those benefits exist here for C2 analysis. Negative, I honestly don't think we have any. There's nothing that we're doing that is going to have any more of a detriment on the town zoning plan than what's already on multiple lots on this relatively small neighborhood. So I think we do satisfy both aspects of the C2. As I said, to some degree, the C1. And again, the pool variances are self-evident. So thank you for hearing us on 2 nights. We appreciate you doing so, and we'd appreciate a positive vote.
Mr. Zelli. Okay. Do you want to summarize for us, and then we can share our comments?
Absolutely, Madam Chair, I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Applicant here is seeking 3 bulk variances, one for lot coverage ratio, the permitted 20% maximum, they're proposing 23.06%. Next is for maximum floor area, 3,300 square feet is the maximum permitted, 4,568 square feet is proposed. Then the pool location variance, everyone's favorite, ordinance requires the pool to be situated to the rear of the dwellings on adjacent properties. This proposed swimming pool would not be to the rear of the dwellings on adjacent lots 13 and 15, which are 23 Pitney and 15 Pitney respectively. As far as conditions go, the only ones I picked up were just complying with all the comments in our board planner's memo. Mr. Schley's dated May 30th, 2025. All comments in Mr. Quinn's memo. Board engineer dated May 30th, 2025, and all comments in the environmental commission review memo, I think June 23rd, 2025 was the.
My memo is July 3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're most recently. Okay,
Disregarding the
gotcha.
May 30.
My apologies. That's right. It's all the same comments. I have to update my own reference.
Well, yep, essentially.
And then, yeah, the environmental commission was June 23rd. Yeah, okay. So that's it. I didn't pick up any other conditions, at least during the last hearing or this evening, so.
I don't recall any either.
Well, the obvious one, that plans will be revised to reflect A5.
Right, of course, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anybody want to kick us off with some comments here? I'll start if nobody wants to start. So this one was a tricky one for me. It took me a long time, I think, to get there. It's complicated and it's not as easy as just looking at the numbers. So I think, I will say, I have been to the property more than once, actually. I think all 3 times that we were coming up to this meeting, to try to get a sense for myself on whether it was in the character of the neighborhood or not in the character of the neighborhood. The numbers are big. I'll start with the pool location. That's an easy one for me. I do think it makes sense on where you're putting it. You have no real option to put it behind, given the location of your property and how it situates on that court. So I was comfortable with the pool location. With respect to lot coverage, as well as we do, we spend a lot of time on lot coverage, and we're trying to be as careful as we can. I got comfortable with your number, given the percentage that is coming from the pool. It is over where we like it to be, so, I would want you to be very careful with that number as the builders are building, because it's already high, and we wouldn't want it to be any higher. The floor area was an interesting one to me. I went back and forth, quite honestly, trying to get a sense for myself from a massing perspective from your neighbors. I agree that the way it's situated, I wouldn't really feel the massing from the street side for sure, but I agree with the comments that were made with respect to cathedral ceilings versus not cathedral ceilings, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think there's a shed there, and that's something that you see already, and now we're putting something kind of next to that as well. So in the end, I got comfortable with it, but it wasn't an easy application for me, so I'll leave the comments there and open it up for other board members.
So I'm gonna say that I didn't quite get there. I'm looking at another lot that's the same size, and they're 656 square feet less, and I can't imagine that a foyer being 2 stories is going to equate to 656 square feet. If you were to bring some of the sizes of the billiard room and the upstairs down a bit, 150 square feet to me actually is quite meaningful. I also drove the neighborhood, and I think I think the house as it sits now fits in very nicely with the neighborhood. I'm not opposed to going back a little bit, but to me the numbers are just a little bit too much. Again, 656 square feet over the largest house on the street on the same size lot. And then Mr. Zelli had spoken about this lot being one of the smaller lots, but there are larger lots with much smaller floor area. Thank you. And even the size of the pool has more than, well, it's about doubled. So it's all just a little bit too much for me. I don't see any hardship here. I see the lots as fairly equal. To me, I can't get there. I can't imagine that a foyer being 2 stories is going to make up 656 square feet. I do appreciate that you're mindful of the impervious coverage and that you've gone to great lengths to address drainage. That is very, very important, but I think that the massing, for me, I'm not there.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann. Others to weigh in?
So I think
I'm
on
also
the,
concerned, go ahead, Ms. Silver.
I was just gonna say, I think on the coverage issue, I'm comfortable because they brought it down to lower than the existing. So for me, I felt like that was, that satisfied my original concerns. I don't know if others agree with that. I understand what you're saying though about the massing. I'm also taking into account some of the testimony about the functionality of the room and trying to make sure that we're not cutting into that by reducing the size, at least of that ground level room where they were saying that the use was for billiards, and making sure that there is sufficient space for that use. So,
Thank you, Ms. Silver. Ms. Padici?
I'm also concerned about both the impervious coverage and the potential massing. If we did trim off a little bit of the billiards room and upstairs, we would also help the impervious coverage as well as the massing, because you're just going to be moving it in. And I think that serves 2 purposes. So I'm very concerned about the application because of that.
Dr. Agarwal?
Yeah, I'm okay with the coverage area. Floor area has some concerns. Certainly a room you could reduce a little bit. Like Ms. Bound said, 656 larger than that, so.
Yeah.
Biggest lot, so
Yeah.
that's.
Thank you,
if
Doctor.
something can be done there.
Thank you. Ms. Proctor?
If you're concerned about massing, with reducing some of the second floor a little bit, that would lower the roof height a bit, and it would create less of an appearance of massing. I don't
That was
necessarily
really
have a
my
problem
thought.
with the lot coverage, you're bringing that ridge and creating a big block going straight across. Before it stepped down and it was a little less intrusive. If you reduce some of the second floor, you would reduce that ridge height, and it would, I think, help with that impression of massing. I drove around that neighborhood a couple of times too, and there are some very large houses there.
Yeah, that's where I got to.
There
and-
are some very large houses there, so I
And
can't say
the-
this is gonna be the biggest one on
Yeah,
the block by
that's
any
true.
means.
And the new roof line is below the peak of the house, which made a difference to me. You know,
Yes.
there is some massing issue, and I stopped on that massing issue too. But to be honest, I don't disagree with the testimony that who's gonna know that we just took 150 square
Yeah,
feet
I-
off this room. So to me, that's, I don't know what that is, about 3% of what we're talking about. Is that really going to make a difference?
You don't have any neighbors here complaining about.
We didn't hear any.
On the street.
We didn't hear any, so, I think the 3% of the 150 feet would look better on paper, and that's where I was going too. We had the same numbers written down. I saw it, we had the same numbers written down, but I just don't know if we solved for the right thing, and that's kind of where I came out. But I appreciate everybody's comments on, this was a complicated one, and I wasn't quite there myself.
Unless
It's
you're
been a
standing
long
across
time.
the street staring at the house, you're just not gonna see it.
Yeah.
Most of it's to the rear. and you
Yeah.
have-
Now, I do agree that there's some other aspect. I feel very comfortable with the stormwater management.
Right.
Thank you for doing it. Thank the applicant for doing a lot of work there, so that helped us get comfortable.
And I appreciate the wood deck around the pool too,
Yeah.
because that really does
Yeah.
help reduce coverage.
And I do think, the floor area, also there's some open space aspect to it. I do think that is true. yet we do have an ordinance where you can put up a giant cathedral ceiling and make the numbers work, like, you know.
But how much would that be? I mean, if you're looking
I
at
don't
a
know.
foyer, you're probably looking at 100 square feet, 200 square feet?
250 probably, right? The room is, the whole addition, right, is 21 by 24, right? So that's 500,
That's over 500 square feet,
that's over,
right?
Yes.
But a foyer is probably 100, and then if you put the second story above it, you know, you're only another 100 square feet, right? So if you had a second story above the foyer, that's only another 100 square feet. So even if I reduced the 656 by 100 square feet, we're still over 556 over the largest house
yeah, it's a big
that's on
number.
the block.
I agree with you, it's a big number.
That's the same size property.
Mhm.
So for me.
Or smaller.
Well, so they're
6.1,
.61,
and this is
this
60.
is .60,
Yes.
yeah. So it's a smaller lot with 3,912, and we're at 4,568.
So normally I don't interject, but I'm going to ask to at this point, just briefly. One of the things that I remember Mr. Fernandez testifying to, and I believe it was to both houses on the cul-de-sac, is you were dealing with some additions that appeared to be two-story great room type situations. So they do have large floor areas, which are not causing a problem because they're 2 stories, because they're 2-story open cathedral ceiling type situations. And if I recall correctly, I'm going to be able to read these well enough. But as I said, I believe they were the 2 on the cul-de-sac that he pointed that out specifically. So it can really come into play in this regard.
So what's changing this is the fact that you're making it 2 stories as versus one big cathedral. One story, well, 2 stories.
Right, and if it were,
Which to me doesn't make sense. That doesn't affect massing inside at all.
Right.
right, that's just the point. The fact that we are having 2 levels within that exact same mass that you can't see from the street. That's where the flaw is in the ordinance. Not just this, but any ordinance that's designed this way.
Yeah, that does seem like a flaw.
Yes. Okay, did everybody weigh in? Who wants to make a motion on this application? I know it's very
May I make a
difficult, or if
request?
there's other
You know what
suggestions.
I'm gonna- you know what I'm
Yes,
gonna
I know what
request.
you're going. Go ahead.
Could I request a straw poll on this one?
Just trying to think of the most efficient way to do this. I'm not, just, let me think for a second. From a pool location standpoint, does anybody have any issues on a pool location standpoint?
No.
No.
I'm
Yeah, okay. From a maximum lot coverage, 23.06%.
okay.
Okay. Gigi, you had some
I'm
concerns?
somewhat okay, but I
Not
can
great,
go for it.
okay, that's
I
fine.
can go for it.
I'm okay given the stormwater management.
Okay.
systems, but
I am as well.
And I am as well.
Okay. Lot coverage, maximum floor area is where we have different opinions. I'll start with Ms. Bauman, because I think I know where she is.
I can't, no.
You're a
I'm a no.
You're a no, and where are you a yes?
Where am I a yes?
Yeah, because you made just some suggestions. I'm just wondering if is there a threshold, for example, 150 square feet less, you're a yes. I mean, if you know that number, I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't know that number, but if there is a number.
I don't know the number, but I would think that something could come down.
Okay, fine. Ms. Pedici, do you want to weigh in on that
I'm
one?
probably a no because of the floor area, but
Okay, fine.
I'm not gonna presuppose what
Fine.
their
Dr. Agarwal?
target should be.
I had similar opinion like Ms. Bauman.
Like,
Needs to come down.
Ms. Bakhtar?
I'm not so bothered by the floor area ratio.
Okay.
I'm wondering, what are the ceiling heights on the 2 floors?
On our 2 floors?
Yeah.
Mr.
They
Fernandez?
both match the existing, I believe the first floor is 9 and the second floor is 8. They're both 8?
Yeah.
They're both 8.
They're both 8, so they can't be lower at all then. But I don't have a problem with it.
I agree as well. I'm not bothered by the floor area. I'm okay on it.
Yeah. Okay, I was just asking our attorney what happens if it's a in theory, hypothetically, if it's a 3-3 vote.
It's a denial.
It's a denial, thank you, because I didn't know that. Okay, so we're split, and I understand being split on this one, because I was split for the last 2.5 months. I just want to find out from the board, at this point, it's hard, but, you know, if there's a way to facilitate a yes on this, given what we know what they're trying to do. If there's a number, I'd rather see if we can come up with something that at least we can propose to the applicant while they're here, and then they can decide what to do with it.
Because my concern is that we're not here to engineer changes for a board. We're
No,
not-
that is correct.
So by putting out a number, I'm concerned that we are doing a potential re-engineering by giving them that number.
Well, I don't want to give them a specific number, but if there is a number, if we think it's just too big, and we give them an opportunity to have some discussion while we were here and before this vote goes through, I'd like to give them that opportunity, if it's possible.
May I suggest not even necessarily a number, but physical change you'd like to see?
Well,
Results in a number?
let me make a suggestion.
Yes, thank you.
And this is supported by the testimony we just had. Mr. Fernandez said that we could bring it back 2 feet, make the depth 2 feet less on the first level and 4 feet less on the second level, which would give us a net reduction of 150.
So it would be like a step, would be.
So the top level would be step back a little bit.
Can you just tell me what,
Step back on the back.
I think,
It's only from the back. The front, nothing's changed.
yeah, it's only from the back.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure, I think the room was 21 by 24. Can you just tell me what it would be then on those 2 levels?
Corey?
I think- Yeah. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
You're asking a question about.
I think it was 19, I think it was 21 by 24, so if you made the changes that you recommended, I just want to know what that room would be.
The room dimensions would be if we went back 2 feet on the first level and 4 feet on the second.
So the outside dimension is 21'6", so then the outside dimension would be 19'6" on the first floor.
19, sorry?
19'6"
Okay.
By 24.5?
by 24, let's call it 24 and a half feet, it's a quarter of an inch off.
And then
Okay.
another 4 feet less on the second floor?
Yeah, so 4 feet on the second floor would be 17'6".
That's like 2 feet.
Okay. So basically 19 by 24 and
All right, if you do that,
17 by 24.
Like, how much would that lower the ridge? What, I don't know what you have on there, what would you, how much?
I don't know, that doesn't change
It
the
doesn't
ridge,
change
right?
the length at all. They're just making it shorter.
If you're making it shorter, then, and you're using the same pitch, then.
No, it wouldn't really change the ridge at all, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
I
The
agree.
ridge would remain the same.
Literally the same.
Yeah, because the ridge doesn't go all the way to the end.
Oh, okay.
The roof line turns there, yeah.
So bring it
But
down-
you'd see another step going down, so it'd be another roof line.
so bring it down to 44.
But you can't.
I am mindful of the fact there's other applicants
Yes.
this evening. If possible, I'd like to hear a straw on the 150 reduction. If not, I'll find out if I'm authorized to submit at that number.
I'm
Okay.
okay with that.
Okay.
What's the elevation, the north elevation? Is it the north elevation?
She's asking which elevation we're talking about. In other words, what perspective?
The north, from the north, yeah. So looking at the home from the north, yeah, the 2-foot reduction on the first floor,
Yeah.
4-foot reduction. It'd be drawing 1 on A103. That's the view from the side.
Okay.
So what would the proposed?
It's actually gonna look kind of similar to the right-hand side, so you see how the right-hand side?
Dr. Agarwal? Dr. Agarwal?
Yes.
You said in theory you would be comfortable with the reduction?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
What would the new then floor area ratio be, 100
I'm sorry, 4418.
44 something.
4418 by my calculation.
Yeah, so it would be 150 square feet less, which is
Right.
about 3%. Okay. Okay. You know, that's a bad- Okay, your straw poll vote is 42.
Yea or nay?
Yeah.
Comfortable submitting it? And we would submit with that change. And thank you for your patience.
Did you note that change?
I did,
Can you-
44,
Can you just reiterate, it's 44?
4,418 square feet is now the proposed floor area.
Okay. All right. So at this point, unless anybody has some additional comments, I'd look for a motion.
Oh, Madam Chair, do you think just because there was additional testimony?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any questions based upon what we've heard? Any new comments? Thank you. Okay, we'll close that. Thank you. Sobieski. So at this time, I'd like to,
I'm sorry. It's a complicated thing. Would that not reduce the lot coverage as well?
It will,
Okay.
by approximately 50 feet.
What would that equate to as far as the ratio?
that's a Mr. Sly question. Hang on.
Less than 0.2%.
No. But actually, it's in your numbers. And if your numbers in number 2 are correct, we can figure that out, right? Because it's 150 square feet less. We can do that.
Well, it's, no, not for coverage. Only 50 for coverage.
50 for coverage, right? 50.
So we're gonna get down to 26, I'm sorry,
No,
61, 45?
22.7%,
22.7?
slightly more than 20%.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Minus
I didn't think so.
24, minus 49. 6121. 261052. $22.88%.
That's what
I
I get.
have,
I said 20.7, so.
I don't know if this is correct. I have 22.9.
Yeah, it's just rounding, he
Is
said
that
88.
what he said? I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah.
22.88.
Okay, we'll say 22.9. So it changes the application to 22.9 on the lot coverage.
So then, doesn't change the pool location, so just to reiterate, 3 variances then, 22.9% for the lot coverage, or 20% is the max permitted, 4418 square feet for the floor area, where 3,300 is permitted, and then the pool location, which I'm not gonna do again.
So can we get a motion on this application?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pacta.
Okay, I would see this as a C2, flexible C variance. I don't think there's any hardship in terms of the lot size. It's oversized for, for what's required for the neighborhood. I don't have a problem with the 22.88% lot coverage. I think
we're saying 22.9.
22.9% lot coverage. I don't have a problem with the pool variance application. I think making the first floor a little bit smaller and setting the second floor back does reduce the massing of the property. So as such, I would make a motion to approve this application with the stipulations as set forward. And I would request the board attorney to draft a resolution to approve the variance and request, including all stipulations and conditions, and to grant the relief. So I think I said it all.
Okay.
I was spitting it out, but I think I got it.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Silver. So Ms. Packard made the motion, and Ms. Silver Second, and just a reminder for the board, a yes vote is to approve and grant the variances requested, and a no vote is to deny the application. Okay, Ms. Lehman, please.
Thank you. Dr. Agarwal?
Yes.
Ms. Medici?
No.
Ms. Baumann?
No.
Ms. Mokhtar?
Yes.
Ms. Silver?
Yes.
Chair Engineer?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Ms. Lehman, they don't all go like that, so. Just give us 1 second to recover.
We're patiently waiting here.
Next up on the agenda is the Roser application, which, was that officially carried?
No, it wasn't carried
No,
out.
we officially didn't start it.
The notice was deficient, they approved the
Okay.
property.
ZB 25009.
Start from scratch here. Yeah, come on up, folks. Madam Chair, while they're approaching, I'll just point out that they did properly notice for this evening. Is that all right?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Sent to owners of property within 200 feet on June 16th, published in the Burnsville News on June 12th, more than 10 days in advance. All the content is sufficient, so the board has the jurisdiction here to decide the case. Okay, folks, let me swear the two of you in, as well as our two board professionals. If you'd all raise your right hands for me. All four of you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay. Sir and ma'am, if you could please give us your names and addresses for the record.
Sure. My name is Greg Gimple. This is my wife, Nicole Rosa. We are at 31 Mount Airy Road here in Basking Ridge. Try to be brief. This is, I would say, slightly less involved than the previous submitted.
Slightly.
Yeah, just looking at a 20-foot by 31-foot back deck on our property is shown on Lot 9 up on the screen there. Our house is already in violation of the, I guess, chief complaint, which is the distance to the street as well as the neighboring properties. Being that it was built 80 years ago, we were looking to put the back deck on the rear of the house there. Happy to report we just received a successful wetlands approval, and I guess the remaining issues being the distances for the deck.
And I was just
And
gonna say,
we-
we're not increasing, I think the most important thing is we're not increasing any existing variances
Right.
from the,
You're not making them any worse.
right, exactly.
ma'am. As well as, I should state, a 7-foot by 7-foot hot tub, which is why the deck is listed as irregular, to accommodate that being built into the deck there. Let's see.
Which I think the issue with that is it's not behind the property on Lot 8,
Correct.
so. I don't know if that's it.
Yeah, luckily not too involved. Let's see.
Greg, right?
Correct, sir. No, thank you.
Sir?
Gimple.
How do you
The
spell it?
spelled-
property is in my name, I don't know if that's.
Right, that's why I just want to make sure I got
Yeah.
it.
Spelled Guempel.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, absolutely.
And did you take, who took the pictures that came with your application?
Oh, I did.
Okay, and did you draw on them as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot
Sorry, I'm not an artist, I
No,
did my
that's
best.
good, actually.
a lot of late nights up till.
It's actually sometimes better than the architect ones that we.
It is better than the one the architect, yeah,
Yeah, he builds good decks, but I don't know if he's quite the artist either. Yeah.
Traditional artist.
Right.
And on the lot, Mr. Sly, like, on the aerial photo, it looks like the house is like not located on the lot.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Okay.
There's an,
Otherwise, it's gonna get a lot more
It's
complicated.
Believe it or not, that lot 10 is 5.5 feet away from our
Yeah, it's
neighbor. It's
5.3 feet
right
away
on
right
top of
now.
them.
there's a problem with the parcel layer, the lot lines, and the photography. It's right on the edge of town. I mean, usually it's pretty good,
Okay.
but there are parts of town where it just doesn't sync up.
I'm glad we don't have that problem.
Yeah, that is not an issue as it appears.
Okay. And you said that the house next door is how many feet away?
5.3 feet,
Right.
and we have spoken to them, and there's no concerns.
Yeah. Have you spoken to any other neighbors? Did you hear any concerns from any?
No, we have not heard any neighbors.
Not from
We're-
the letters.
We're only friendly with the ones on the side with, that is very, very close.
Yeah, it's
And
not a
then,
requirement. I just want to know if anybody came up to you that maybe was notified and shared any concerns.
Nope.
Oh, no, ma'am.
That's fine.
Are you removing an existing patio as part of building the deck?
No, we have some, like, dug-in slabs that are
It's,
kind of
like,
back there,
overgrown.
like some slates. They're like overgrown and weeded, so we could leave it. I think that's what the
but we were
builder's gonna opt to
planning on
do.
just building over it, unless we needed to pull it out for any
They're just
reason.
stone slabs that have been there forever. So I think the deck,
You deck over.
I think so,
The
sir.
deck
I
would
think the
go
deck
over
builder's
it,
gonna
yeah.
remove the ones where the posts are gonna be and just leave the rest.
Okay, I was just asking because if you were removing the patio, it might actually reduce your coverage.
I think
Oh,
coverage
right.
area is not
You're
an
not
issue,
over,
yeah,
but
You
in
don't
this,
have to, I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Sly, we're to think of a hot tub exactly the same as a pool from an
Yeah,
ordinance
because
standpoint?
it's a definition in the ordinance that if it's 100 square feet or 18 inches deep, not both, but, so anything that's 18 inches deep is technically subject to the same thing you hear often.
And the southern, okay, and the setback for that hot tub
The
is an
setback,
inch? We're talking less than an inch?
yeah, I guess, that's a good question. You guys can't make the 20 feet, you can only make the 19.88.
the problem is that we're putting it, well, the hot tub is, the deck, the hot tub is like 20, just shy of 24 feet setback on the left side, but the deck, because there's windows on the back of the house, if it was just like a little bit over, it would kind of block some of the window, like the if you're looking out the window on the back sun porch. So if it's where it is, it kind of fits right between the panes, so it doesn't block the view from the sunroom out into the backyard.
So it's a pre-existing structure that's causing the.
Right.
Correct, sir, yes.
And the way that works is that the setback, it's the same 20-foot setback for the deck that is off by an inch or an inch and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
And the setback for the hot tub is also 20 feet, but when you're measuring setback for a hot tub or a pool, it's not necessarily measured to the water or the tub itself, it's measured to the
structure.
surrounding
Okay.
patio
Right,
and
okay.
decking. So it's really two different requirements that amount to the same thing, that the deck is an inch too close to the property line.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Sly, in your memo? Let's see here.
You guys removing any trees?
No.
No, sir.
Any exterior lighting associated with this?
Yeah,
We just have two small light fixtures on either side of the sliding glass door.
Yeah.
Are those gonna be, wait, do those
Aimed
exist
down.
now, or they're gonna be installed?
No, they don't exist.
No, they don't exist yet, sir. Once the deck goes in, I was gonna
They're
put
gonna be
those.
directed downward, or?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that would be a condition of any approval.
Okay.
Got it.
Is there any screening where the hot tub is relative to the neighbor next door?
Exist, on lot, what is that, the lot 10?
Lot 10.
No.
Did you speak to people on lot 10? Do they?
They know it's happening, they didn't,
Yeah, they're
mention
actually very
any-
nice, friendly people. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't really have any issues with the
yeah.
project.
Is there any room to put any trees there? Like, so,
I mean-
5.3 feet away.
It's funny how that lot shows. A lot of that's actually forest down at the back.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so if I'm looking at the aerial, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Here, we need to take this one if you want to look at what she's looking at. Oh,
So I'm
You have it?
wondering,
Thank you, though.
I'm wondering would it make any sense to put trees here that would sort of block their visibility from their driveway into your backyard?
the only problem is that it just would restrict access to the backyard with like a vehicle if, say, something needs to be delivered back there. Like, for example, we had a wood delivery, a firewood delivery not too long ago, and they had to go along the side of the house to the backyard. So
Or I
it
would
just
say almost
restrict
even walking,
access.
I think, back there from that side,
Even
just
walking,
because there's only
yeah.
5 feet
Because
from
it's so
their
close
driveway.
to the side property line.
Or your driveway's on that side of the house?
It almost
Right,
looks like
yeah.
a shared driveway, but if you
get-
look at,
yeah,
yeah,
to get
it's so
to, even the
close.
builders
It's close.
right now that are, like, they're siding the house right now, and then they're gonna do the deck. They have to bring their truck to the backyard so that it's not in our driveway, because it doesn't fit very much, and they wouldn't be able to do that anymore with the trees there.
Our backyard, as I consider it, actually ends before that Rosa name starts. That's actually all woods from that number 9 number
Yeah, most
back
of it
is all wooded there. So to me, the yard, that we use at least ends before that Rosa name is there. Just have a little fire pit and chairs, and that's about it. But so much of it is wooded.
So what if we went a little further back? And the answer can be no, but I want to ask the question.
Sure.
Like, could you put trees back in so see how this is 5 feet? You wouldn't want to put any trees there, it's too close. Right, but what if you put I guess even that's too close, like back in here, it doesn't really apply, because it doesn't do anything, because the house is too close.
Hey, we could definitely give it a good faith shot. We talked about, just for noise in general, planting some trees because, living on a road, yeah.
You need to speak in front of the microphone, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
God.
We
No,
def-
for
I
recording,
was just gonna
yeah.
say, we definitely wanna do something, we have to kind of
But maybe
figure
you
out
could
how to not.
stipulate to doing some good faith effort
Absolutely.
screening.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Even if you did something like around the deck itself, rather than on the property
Right,
line.
yes.
even be better for
Well,
privacy,
yeah, I mean, next step in this project is definitely to do some form of landscaping. We have to figure out how to do that without restricting access to the backyard, but yes.
Something like Green Giant, they're pretty good.
Right, and
They
you can
grow
shape
tall,
them.
and you can build a wall like that.
Yeah, and
very-
you can shape them and they can.
Oh, yeah, you can shape them, very thin wall, and,
Like a thin wall of trees, you mean?
Yeah, you can buy 5 feet and they grow in a year,
Right.
6, 7 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we had in mind to do. I just don't know exactly where to, like, we would have to figure out where to place
I think our
them.
attorney can help draft something that says, you know, in good faith to work
Right.
on the screening. Because
Yep.
obviously you don't have a lot of space there and
Right.
in the location, we're always mindful
Right.
when we're moving the location
Right.
to kind of have adequate screening.
But yes, we did plan
You
to
will-
do
You
something.
will actually like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will actually like them. They look very beautiful if you meet the wall.
Yeah, honestly, it would help with the noise too, I think, yeah. It's very close to the street.
And if you trim them every year, you can actually shape them.
Not just me.
No, honestly, we love that, just for the noise alone.
I did in my old house, build the whole wall.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very
Yeah, we
nice.
do, that exact tree, what you're talking about is what we do plan on doing. Again, it's just how
And if you-
close to the edge of the
If
property
you go
line
to
is
the
just.
Home Depot, you get the 5 feet one to
Yep.
start with. Within a year, they
They
go
grow
7
more.
feet.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay.
Beautiful wall.
We're never gonna tell you specifically what
Yeah.
to do, but you
We're
know
definitely
what
gonna
to
plant
do
something
and
there. Yes, we
Yeah,
plan
that's-
on
that's
doing
no doubt.
something.
Plant
Yeah.
native species of, you know, New Jersey, native plants.
Right,
and
yes.
helpful.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Quinn, Mr. Sly, before we leave there, is there anything residual on your memo that we did not cover that you would like to address?
Last comment, number 10, about the riparian zone
Yes.
conservation easement, except you can strike the second, beginning of the second sentence where it says, must verify the width of that riparian zone. I did get a letter from the expert, it is 50 feet as shown on the plan.
Okay, so it's 50.
So it's just to move forward and take care of
Yeah, and I did reach out to the surveyor that did the most recent survey, and we're on the calendar for him to get that drafted as well, so we're in motion with that.
You guys understand you'd have to give an easement to the township for that?
Yes, but he has to draft the map and the
Yeah,
description,
no, I
right?
understand.
Yep,
You gotta- it has
Yep,
to be done.
correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think it's in the days zone.
Mr. Quinn?
No, I had no additional issues on this.
Okay,
It's pretty straightforward.
thank you, Mr. Quinn.
He did have, I'm sorry, Mr. Quinn did have 2 comments. The deck would be an open design, right? It's gonna be like gap floor?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's good. That's a condition. If you do end up removing the patio, and it results in a reduction of lot coverage, you just have to revise the plans to just indicate what the lot coverage is gonna be. That way, people know going forward.
Got it, okay.
Just on the property.
Okay.
Very good.
And then,
Did you also see the, are you finished?
I was gonna do the environmental.
All right, me too.
Okay, you wanna do it?
All right, sure.
You wanna take the honors then?
Sure. So, did you also see the environmental, commission memo? If you didn't, I'm happy to share it.
Which one?
It just had 2 points on it, that you should show the riparian zone on the stream, and also due to the age of your dwelling, they wanted you to be aware for any potential in-ground tanks, lead paint.
Oh, yes, I
asbestos,
did
Gotcha.
see that, yeah.
precautions should be taken.
We did, when I bought the house, they did a test to if there were any in-ground tanks and found that there weren't any, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Good. That's good. Anything?
That's all we got.
Are there any questions from the public on this application? Are there any additional questions from the board? Are there any comments on this application, either for or against? When's the hot tub party?
That's what my neighbor said too, so.
Yeah, right. That's about all she's worried about. Yeah.
Question? Do you have a comment?
They could use 2x3s instead of 2x4s.
2 by
Okay,
3s.
so not seeing any comments, we're gonna close the comment section.
Want to try to summarize?
Yes, please.
Okay. Applicants here are seeking 5 variances, one for the front yard setback. They're required to provide a 75-foot front yard setback here. The proposed deck would be 47.5 feet to the front yard boundary line. The southerly side yard setback of the deck, 19.88 feet proposed, where 20 feet is required at a minimum. Combined side yard setback, 29.3 feet, which is an exacerbation based on the additional building mass from the proposed deck. 50 feet is the minimum required on that front. The hot tub setback to the property to the south, 19.88 feet, much like the deck, where 20 feet is required at a minimum. And then the hot tub location, which was the pool location, I guess, our favorite variance, would not be to the rear of the dwelling on the adjacent lot to the north. I think is it to the rear of the house to the south too? No? Okay, let's just say both, just in case.
The rear is west.
Yeah, would it be behind the rear of the house on the left, to the south? I think it would be, right?
Oh, to the south, they're okay with that.
Yeah, okay, just the house to the north.
And there's also houses on the other side of the street they're okay with.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so just that one, lot 8. Okay, and then as far as conditions go, everything in Mr. Schley, our board planner's memo, dated, most revised one, July 3rd, 2025. Everything in board engineer Quinn's memo dated May 30th, 2025. Everything in the environmental commission memo, I forget if there was an updated one, but the last one, oh no, yeah, May 19th, 2025. And then the other condition, most important, the applicants will make a good faith best effort to provide landscape screening of the proposed improvements to the lot to the south using native tree species.
Okay,
Sounds good?
thank you, appreciate that. Would anyone like to make any comments or a motion on this application?
I think that the proposal will certainly enhance the value of the house. And it is an oddly shaped lot, and the house is very close to the street. So there isn't really you don't have much room to maneuver, and you have the back there that you can't really go forward. But, and I thank you for making a good faith effort about the landscaping. So I will be in favor of the application.
Do you want to make a motion, or?
I'll make a motion that we deem the application complete, and we ask the attorney to draft a resolution to approve the application with the conditions that have been stated by Mr. Sobieski.
Thank you, Ms. Medici.
So I'll second that under both C1 for the hardship for the shape of the property and the existing conditions. There's no detriment. I don't see a detriment, and certainly if you could consider any of this a detriment, I would say that it substantially outweighs. And I think the improvements substantially outweigh any detriment that there would be along with it. I agree that it would be improving the house, so.
Thank you.
I would second that motion under C1 and C2.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer. Okay, Ms. Slayman, you're up.
Dr. Agarwal?
Yes.
Ms. Medici?
Yes.
Ms. Baumann?
Yes.
Ms. Foxhar?
Yes.
Ms. Silver?
Yes.
Chairwoman Engineers?
Yes. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you.
Sorry we had to bring you back.
That's all
Hey,
right.
appreciate the hard work. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Stokes ZB 25010.
All right, they're going to set up anyway. Madam Chair, while they're doing that, I'll just point out for the record, I did review their notice. I find it to be sufficient in terms of its content, time, minutes of service, published on time in the Burnsville News on June 12, 2025, and also sent to owners of property within 200 feet and any other interested parties on June 11, 2025, both more than 10 days in advance. All the content was good. The board is the jurisdiction here to decide the case, in my opinion. So why don't I swear in the two folks who are up, as well as our two board professionals. All four of you can raise your hands. Do all four of you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
Yes.
Okay, great. And sir, can I get your name and address, please?
Sure. My name's Andrew Stokes. I live at 107 North Maple Avenue, Basking Ridge. Technically, it could be John Stokes. I typically like to go by my middle name.
Okay. And ma'am?
Cindy Border, architect. I am at 12 West Maple Avenue in Long Valley.
How do you spell your last name?
Borner, B-O-E-R-N-E-R.
Business address one more time, I'm sorry. Take notes.
Sorry,
What was your business address?
12 West Maple Ave, Long Valley.
And if I can just ask you to speak into that microphone, because it's being recorded as well, so it's a little awkward, but in either one, you can speak into either one, but pick one.
And Ms. Warner, could you please give the board
So I've been licensed in the state of New Jersey since 2000. My license is in good standing. I've been in front of numerous boards throughout Morris, Union, Essex, Hunterdon, and Sussex counties. Most recently, Summit, New Providence, Short Hills, Madison, Long Valley, and Chester, but I have never been in front of your board before.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You said your license is still in good
Correct.
standing. Okay, we'll accept it, thank you. Okay, you want to tell us why you're here? We have your application.
Yes.
We got it in advance.
So, my wife and I, we moved to town 4.5 years ago. First home. Love it. It's a nice house, an old house. We moved from nearby areas, Long Valley and Scotch Plains, respectively. But we have a 19th century house, early 19th century house, and it's nice. It's good for the two of us. And we, 11 months ago, welcomed a daughter to our family, and we are interested in expanding back and up on our house to accommodate for a growing family.
How old is the house?
I believe there's a plaque dated estimated around 1830. Yeah.
So it's not on like a historical registry?
Not to my knowledge. It was one of the first things I asked the realtor who sold us the house, their seller, and she told us that it was not. I did not dig much beyond that, but
Okay.
that's.
Thank you.
It probably is it's probably eligible for the national register.
1830,
Yeah, because there's a list, you can look it up online. My house
All right.
is
If you want.
1870, it is.
Okay. Okay, so you have an old home? Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're interested into adding a mudroom, expanding our side den, and adding a kitchen nook, and expanding up to add on to an existing bedroom to turn into a master suite, and add a fourth bedroom. And if there are no other questions, I am willing to let my architect take over for any more technical questions.
Can I just ask again, sorry, when
Yes.
did you buy the house?
We bought it 4.5 years ago. We bought it, we closed actually December 31st, 2020, and we moved in 2 months later in February 21. Peak COVID.
I have a handout that I've labeled A1 that I'll refer to in a little bit, and they are just.
This is something we don't have yet.
Correct.
Okay.
These are photographs that Andrew took himself last week, as well as some Google maps and street views and things like that.
Okay, so we'll mark that as Exhibit A1. We can give it today's date, and that's a 2-page compendium of colorized photographs of the subject property, consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I said 7 photographs?
Yeah, 7.
Jeez. Over 2 pages.
And these are the same plans that you have in front of you. They haven't been altered in any way. I'm referring to sheet 3 and 4, which is the floor plans, and I just want to briefly walk you through the project. So on the first floor, we're adding a 1-story mudroom, side entrance, powder room, and laundry room to the side. We're adding a breakfast room to the rear by basically taking over an existing laundry room and bathroom and part of an existing screen porch. And then we're adding a new, smaller screen porch, as well as adding an extension off the back of the den to make the den larger. On the so the existing dining room, living room, staircase, and kitchen remain as is.
Is it possible to run that? Let's see.
Or move, why don't you move the
I think-
display?
Can you
the whole
turn the
unit?
monitor? Can you now like tilt?
That's much better. I think if you just moved, then.
Didn't see anything.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not all wobbly. Oh, but wait, hold on, this is, there we go. Okay. Sorry, technology is not my friend, I'm not even gonna, attempt using a computer system. All right, sheet 4.
These are the plans that were revised on, sorry, March 3rd, 2021?
Correct.
Got it.
So sheet 4 is our basement and second floor plan. The basement is your typical, 1800s basement. It's 6'3" tall at the tallest. It's been added onto several hundred times. And structures kind of willy-nilly all throughout the basement with various posts and beams and such. And we're not really doing anything down there. All the new additions will be over crawl space. On the second floor, the existing 2 front bedrooms and bathroom will remain as is in the main house. We're adding a bedroom over the den extension on the side, so that one bedroom will get a little bit smaller to create a hallway to get to it. The rear existing bedroom, we're turning into a master bathroom and closet, and then adding a new master bedroom over the breakfast room addition below. Sheet 5 and 6, which is our elevations. So from the front, you can see the one-story mudroom and side entrance kind of peeking off to the left. It's set much further back from the front of the house. And on the right-hand side, you can see the second floor addition over the existing den. From the back, you can see the one-story mudroom and rear porch addition, the breakfast room with the master suite above, and again, the den extension with the bedroom above the den and the screen porch.
And the materials that are gonna be used?
Will all match existing wood siding. They're listed actually
They're
right
gonna be
here.
the same character.
Correct, yeah, and they're actually listed right here on the drawings: asphalt roofing, wood siding, Anderson simulated divided light windows. From the side, so this is from the right side as you're looking at it from the street. So this is the existing house, the existing porch, the existing den. This is the little bedroom addition above the den, and we've kind of stepped that down the dormer, so it looks like a little bit of a side wing, so that the main house still reads as the main mass. And then this is the den extension with the screen porch, where the existing screen porch is now. And then you can see the master bedroom popping out in the background. And then this is, if you're looking at the house from the left side, this is the one-story mudroom and side entrance, and again, the master suite addition on the second floor popping out from behind. Back to sheet 1. So, as you know, we are here because we need several variances. All of our variances are for existing non-conformances. It should be noted that we have a hardship of an undersized lot by about half, and also a lot that's a peculiar triangular shape. Our first variance is for front yard setback for 33 feet and 36.9 feet to the additions, where 16.1 feet is existing and 75 feet is required. Basically, our entire house is built within the front yard setback, which is typical
Hang on
for
one
older
second.
homes.
Mr. Sy, do those numbers match your numbers?
I don't.
I think I heard different numbers.
I had some different numbers.
I just wanna-
You had.
So 16.1 to porch, 22.7 to house, 33.0 to addition, and 36.9 to addition.
And that's all front yard?
That's all front yard.
Okay, those agree with what I pointed out, right?
So yeah, the two that I just mentioned were the 33 and the 36.9, which are to the additions, whereas the existing 16.1 is to the porch.
And the closest, the addition would be 31-ish.
33,
Oh, 33.
correct.
Okay. I
Which
was
is,
looking
yeah,
at the,
which is labeled on sheet 2.
So hang on one second, so not 31? Do you have a copy of Mr. Sly's memo? I just wanna make sure we,
I was kind of estimating the ridge above the existing two-story part of the house where the rear roof is coming in to meet the ridge. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'll just show you. Thank you. You're.
So see here, 33.
Yeah, what about the here? This is the new back. The roof coming in to meet the ridge of these.
Oh, you mean where this overlaps?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're thinking that's like actually closer? That's okay.
If they did, I would
Sure.
just say plus or minus 31.
To cover our
Okay.
butts, sure.
okay.
Okay, sorry. All the
Oh, and the
additions,
steps in front of that's more accurate, or more easy to see.
so that would be another 2
We're
feet.
we're always going from bottom steps.
Okay, okay, yep, so then we would be at 31.
Okay, so 33 to 31.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All of the additions are substantially further from the front than the existing. It's an existing nonconformance that can't be brought into conformance, and again, the additions are all substantially better than existing. Our second is for rear yard setback for 5.8 feet, whereas 17.9 is existing and 75 feet is required. Though admittedly, I find this is a little bit of an odd one, as this is technically our side property line. It's actually 226 feet to the rear property corner, but given the hardship of an odd triangular shaped lot, we have an unusual measurement requirement. The existing porch is a funny matching triangular shape, and as such creates a very strange and structurally poor, leaking and flat roof line. The new porch will actually be smaller than the existing, but Andrew and Katie do enjoy the current porch and don't want to lose that feature. We're stealing part of the porch for the breakfast room addition and then squaring off the porch to create a proper sloped roof. While still fairly low pitched, it will pitch solely towards the rear versus currently towards the rear and the side, thus actually diverting water away from the side property line compared to the current configuration. And while some trees will need to be removed in this area as they are too close to the house, there will still be substantial vegetation and fencing between the two homes. If you look at the pictures in the handouts that you have, the one picture is from inside the porch looking towards the neighbor's property, and the other three are from the neighbor's property looking back towards our home, and as you can see, you can't see it.
That's on the first page.
Correct.
Yep.
Side yard setback is our next variance for 3.4 feet versus 10.3 feet existing and 20 feet required. Again, this is an odd measurement requirement. This is actually the same property line as the rear variance we just talked about. Again, it'll be provided for a better roof line and better drainage while still maintaining some screening between the properties. As a side note, there is a large tree that straddles the property line on this side that they would like to keep, though some branches will most likely need to be trimmed. And Andrew will talk to the neighbor about it as needed. And again, if you look at the handout photos on both pages, you can see adequate screening between both properties. In addition, there are a few pine trees, mostly dead by the driveway area, that will also need to be removed for the relocation of the pool equipment, though Andrew is happy to replace these with alternate landscaping in this area if so desired. Our last variance is for lot coverage for 22.64% existing and proposed versus 15% allowed. Again, it's an existing nonconformance with an extremely undersized lot. To accommodate our additions, which are mostly built over existing patio, driveway, and porch areas, we're proposing to remove additional driveway space to therefore create no negative effect or increase in lot coverage. We believe we've done what we can to mitigate the effects of our additions. In addition, I have spoken to Andrew about current water flow or pooling, and he says he hasn't noticed any pooling or water collection during storms, but as per the engineer comment and letter, we are happy to follow any DEP regulations required as a condition of permits. In conclusion, we believe we have done what we can to minimize the variances we are increasing, and the others are all non-conformances that we cannot remove or improve. Our additions are modest, mostly in the rear, and in keeping with the style of the home. There is adequate screening between the properties, both with trees, lower vegetation, and fencing. We have the C variance hardship of an undersized, oddly shaped lot with an existing list of existing nonconformances. We are not blocking the light, air, or view of any neighboring properties, and we believe we are also not creating any negative effects. We are improving the housing stock and believe any positives outweigh any negatives. For all these reasons, we hope the board looks favorably upon our application. And I also just wanted to note that Andrew did speak to his side yard neighbor, and they were in support of the application.
Okay, I was gonna ask that.
Did you hear any concerns from any of your neighbors on your project?
Nope, no one else came up to me. I specifically spoke out to my neighbors in Lot 17, and they seemed very favorable to our additions.
Did you mention DEP permits in that?
It was in one of the comments from the engineer's letter saying that they,
Yeah, the number 7, yeah.
On the property, it comes up.
there's like a pond or something back there. If you look at the handout,
Pretty far away.
you look at page 2 of this handout, the pond is here, and then you're close to
It's
something.
actually the,
Yes, it's just like a quick walk down the road.
Yes, there's a pond and something.
Well, it's funny,
Yes.
because I went to mention it to Andrew, he was like, "Start with what?"
Oh.
well, that's
That
good.
makes sense.
So he has an
There's
experience.
other
Yeah.
little ponds all
Yeah.
around there, I've seen other people doing
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we're substantially higher in elevation, so there's definitely no floodplain issues. I just don't know about what wetland setbacks there may or may not be.
So the additions that caused the lot coverage overage, do you have any idea when they were built? Are they pretty old?
I mean, probably the newest addition is the pool and patio, and when was that done?
I forget, but I think at least within the last 20 years.
Okay, so we don't know if the lot, you're not increasing
taking some of the driveway away?
The
Correct.
gravel driveway on the north side.
Well, no, this driveway over here.
Oh, I guess that both,
So right now, the driveway,
technically
right
both,
now,
I
the
guess.
driveway goes up like all the way to the back here.
Yeah, I see that.
And we'll be taking like a piece off, and most of our other additions are either on driveway or patio or on porch, so the net is zero.
Okay.
So Dave, do you know when all these additions and the pool and stuff were put in, or is that way so long ago that there's
The
no?
pool, I did look up the pool because it wasn't that long ago that it predated the lot coverage requirements, but when they put in the pool, they got rid of other existing coverage and ended up with a noted increase to the grandfather coverage that was already there.
Oh.
So, which is okay, they're allowed to
So this
maintain.
coverage they have is
The
grandfathered?
coverage is grandfathered.
Got it, okay.
It just wasn't grandfathered in this exact configuration. Actually, it's better now because there's a pool water surface versus hardscape
Right.
that had been grandfathered.
But I mean, all the little additions to the house, that's all grandfathered in.
Oh, well, I mean, that wasn't recent.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, so that's all
Yeah.
grandfathered in.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see any of the variance requests for anything. The only thing that was closed was the coverage, but they worked around that.
And you intend to build up off of the existing structures that are there, or? are you
So
tearing
some will be
things
new
down?
foundation and, both levels, and others will be building on top, like we're building on top of the existing den.
Right.
But but the porch is gonna come down and we're gonna start again, because there's no actual foundation for the porch.
So does that make the lot coverage change because they're taking it down and putting something back?
No, lot coverage, it's just the gross coverage on the lot. There's no, they're
No, I
allowed
mean,
to rearrange it.
Does it change the grandfathering?
It doesn't change the grandfathering.
It's
And
just-
Andrew, you are correct, we are removing some.
You-
Yeah, that's what I
you
thought.
said
I was like, I thought we
sometimes
talked about the
if you
gravel
take
lot, too.
something down Too much,
It-
then it's a problem.
Well, that's because it goes to partial destruction, and what goes beyond partial destruction is no longer grandfathering related to the structure itself.
Got it.
But this doesn't, from the plans, it doesn't look like it's anywhere near where you'd be going beyond just partial destruction. You're demolishing only a portion of the existing structure to add on to.
Really, the only thing that we're taking down is the porch.
Yeah, there wasn't, looking at the plans, they're nowhere near that concern.
Got it, okay.
They can remove, like, the porch completely, that's still just partial destruction. They can remove like an entire deck and replace it. That's just part of the house. You wouldn't divvy up the house into different pieces.
But they're removing the porch and making it part of the house, so that, or are you just building a porch there?
Part of it'll be porch and part of it'll be house.
Part of this, like, part of the second floor of the house, or?
Both, so we're enclosing part to make like the breakfast room, and then add the master suite above, and then adding the porch. Because right now, the porch is that weird shape, so we're gonna be
Right.
squaring it off to make the porch normal.
I'm just trying to understand the rules, because I'm.
Well, they need variances. They're not claiming grandfathering on anything other than the size of the lot. They need variances for everything they're doing.
Okay, so they need variances for the lot
Yeah.
coverage, okay.
Well, no, they don't need variance for lot coverage.
It's
That's-
not asking.
The lot coverage is not changing.
They're not changing.
The lot coverage is a little different because you're allowed to redistribute the coverage.
Okay.
You can
No, we
remove your
have that
shed and
listed as
enlarge your
variance.
patio, and that's
Gotcha.
okay. The structure's there. Partial destruction things, if part of the house fell
Burnt
over
down.
and they wanted to build it back the way it was, that would be okay, that would be grandfathered. Here, they're talking about adding on to it, so there's no grandfathering relating to the setback variances they're requesting. They can keep it as it is, or they can come here and change it, and that's why they're here.
Thank you.
All of the water from the roof and the new roof line is all being collected into the downspouts, and there's a system, correct?
Yeah, so I was, Andrew, we don't really know where it goes, but everything goes.
It goes into the ground. There's a lot of spats that go down, and they dig down, I assume, further out into the soil.
I don't know where mine goes either, but I do know that it gets collected and it goes somewhere, so.
And he's
no,
never, like I said, he's never noticed cooling during the storm anywhere.
Will you guys be complying with all the comments in the, our board planner and engineers memo as well as the environmental commission memo?
So I think the only issue was potential DEP, right? Was there what were the other conditions, sorry?
Well, if I look at my memo, dated July 3rd, 2025, comments 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much factual. Comment talks about the setbacks that we discussed previously, how they're measured and revising the zoning schedule. Comment number 6, are you removing any trees? I didn't miss that.
Yeah, so we talked about, there'll be branches that, there's a tree that straddles the line, that there'll probably be branches that
But
need
the
to be
trees
trimmed.
stay.
The trees
We'd like it to
stay.
be.
There's some trees that are very close to the house, they're actually touching the house now, which will need to come down, just not even because of this project, but just because they're touching the house. And then, as mentioned in my testimony, there's a couple of pine trees where the pool equipment's going to be relocated that are dead already, and I think there's 4 pine trees at the end of the driveway that need to be removed.
If it ends up that you need to take down a live tree, you'll be subject to the town's tree replacement ordinance.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Stein.
And the last, comment number 7 was, we talked about the, whatever the engineering department requires to show that you're not working in the flood hazard area.
Okay. And we can just talk to the town engineer separately about that?
If you have any questions about exactly what those requirements are, yeah, he'd be the one to start up, or one of the
Okay.
engineers in the engineering department. I could put you in touch with them.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Quinn,
Yeah,
additional comments?
Just a couple things. Item 3, since we're over impervious cover, I wanted to make sure you had both set of steps covered. It seemed like maybe you had the round ones, but not these in your impervious cover.
Steps are in lot coverage, correct?
So 64 square feet includes both this one and this one.
So, I don't know how I have it broken down. I have front path and, so I have the steps for the front path is in the front path. So front path and steps is one number. So those steps that are in the front are part of the front
Here's
path.
what I'm concerned about, proposed lot coverage, because I went through this. You have
Back
steps.
steps 19.6.
That looks like it's this round one, that back stooping steps. I was concerned about this other long step here that you have.
No, they're all included in lot coverage.
They're in here?
Yep.
Where is that one particularly?
So again, I have it probably broken down slightly different, but I have back steps as 19.6. I have patio, so those steps are probably in the patio space.
I just want to make sure, only because we're at impervious coverage, I couldn't find that one anywhere, back step. Well, look, I mean, if you're sure, I just want to make sure you're not.
Yeah,
Your
anything
point number
man,
7.
anything man-made
Yeah, right.
is in there, yep.
All right. I talked about RSI in this one, it's very unusual, I usually don't mention this, but because there's no garages on here.
Yeah.
I technically had to make sure there was at least 2.5 or 3 stalls, this is really unusual, because the way back with 2 driveways put out. But it does technically comply with RSIs. If you're likely, once you start doing, you shouldn't have topo now, but if your disturbance, apart from the 5,000 square foot SED, if you go over 2,500 square feet, Township engineering or may make you get some topography and show some SED measures. So just beware of that. I think you're gonna be really close to that. Talk about the drainage pattern, since you're getting closer, you're adding more building, you said your gutters are underground.
Yes, they drain to
You don't know if
underground.
they go out to the road or?
I do not know.
And the basic drainage pattern, where does it go towards North Maple, does it run towards?
So I'd say it kind of
Walnut
runs from right to left, so the gravel driveway is downhill of the house.
Brook? Okay, so it runs, all right, so all of this addition would actually run towards the gravel driveway towards North Maple. And then just lastly is that, be careful, number 7 is the caveat, make sure that you stay within your existing impervious coverage, because if you don't, and somebody finds out, you're gonna end up coming back to the board to go through this again, right?
And you don't want to do that.
No, nobody be happy.
No.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Do you see any need to like address, water flow in any other way? Like, if they were coming in asking for relief of impervious coverage, because it wasn't already there, we would probably be asking for some sort of a.
That's why I asked Dave how it works, since your grandfather, they're not technically over impervious coverage. So
Right.
normally we ask for that to mitigate the impact of, but since they don't have that,
testimony is that he doesn't see or feel any water problems, and we haven't heard from any neighbors yet.
Right.
All right, I guess I will be the environmental commission ombudsman, as
You
usual.
do it well.
Okay.
You do it well.
Thanks, I guess. Okay, did you guys get a chance to review the environmental commission memo, May 19th?
I mean, I read it, but remind me.
Okay, so they often suggest, a lot of things for you guys, not just you, but all applicants to do. Pretty standard stuff. I'll run through the list here. They wanted you to submit a soil erosion plan that depicts the proposed area of disturbance. I think you have to do that as part of an engineering compliance anyway.
So in general, it looks like we're gonna need like a grading plan with some topo and.
Again, in town, it's 5,000 square feet for SED, but for the town purposes, it's 2,500 square feet. So it's very likely that you will need some topo for this.
Okay.
They wanted you to be aware that the northern part of the property is in a FEMA 1% annual flood zone. Appears that the addition is not in the flood zone, but I just wanted you to be aware of it. I figured I'd hit on that. They wanted you to implement stormwater best management practices during site work and as part of final regrading and restoration. Also wanted you to implement best management practices to preserve and protect trees during site work. They suggested that you consider adding site features to promote the recharge of stormwater from the roof leaders. Also suggested that you increase impervious coverage. Seek to mitigate the amount of lot coverage by planting native trees and shrubs. It's just a suggestion. Also requested that if you guys do need to submit a tree replacement plan, you use native hardwood species wherever practicable. Wanted you to be aware of the potential for in-ground tanks, lead painted asbestos, given the age of the dwelling, take any proper precautions if necessary. And they also asked that you would consider recycling, repurposing, or gifting any demolished material that's not going to be reused. So would you guys be willing to comply with those comments?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So the answer is-
My pleasure.
Are there additional questions from the board at this time?
Just a comment, so your house is historical.
Yes, seems that way.
The 10th Governor of New Jersey's house in the past.
I'm sorry?
That's pretty cool.
Your house
Yes.
is historical.
Yes, yes.
It was owned one time by 10th Governor of New Jersey.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a good one. It was on my-
Southern, Governor Southern,
The 10th governor?
10th Governor.
Tenth
Really?
governor.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
That's cool.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
Neat.
Samuel Southern, 10th Governor of New Jersey.
Yeah, you're improving the value of that.
And one of the senators.
As long as it doesn't increase my property taxes.
From 1980s owned the house.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
So you're in the
Learn something
governor's
new.
district.
Is it haunted? I gotta.
Not to my knowledge. I've been okay. I think my child has scared anything away at this point, and my dog.
Once you start messing things up, it goes away.
You know what, it's funny, I was where our house is in haunted, both of my daughters know, they say they know because they hear something in the hallway.
Well, if it's an old house like that, it's just squirrels usually.
And they're like older, and they're certain that.
That's
they're
the
like, "Oh,
squirrels.
it's haunted." No, there's no squirrels, trust me.
Termites.
We've taken care of that.
All right, any other questions? Are there any questions from the public? Are there any comments from the public? Okay, anything else for us?
I am done.
Yep.
Okay, I will do my best to summarize, so we keep rolling here. Okay, the applicants are requesting, as I counted, well, they're requesting 4, but I think they only need 3 variances here. One is for the front yard setback proposed by the addition, 31 feet, where 75 feet is the required minimum. Next is the southerly side yard setback, 3.4 feet proposed, where 20 feet is the required minimum. And finally, the rear yard setback, 5.8 feet proposed, where 75 feet is the required minimum. As stated by Mr. Schley, lot coverage isn't necessary because you guys are grandfathered and it's basically interchangeable with what's existing. As far as conditions go, everything, you guys would comply with everything in Mr. Schley's July 3rd, 2025 memo, everything in Mr. Quinn's July 2nd, 2025 memo, everything I mentioned in the Environmental Commission memo dated May 19th, and then the only other condition I had taken from the testimony would be that the materials of the addition would be architecturally and visually consistent with the balance of the dwelling, which is kind of a standard thing we do here. So,
Thank you.
that's it. Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody want to make any comments or a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann.
I do see it as a C1 hardship because of the shape of the property. I don't know that it's a C1 given the grandfathered impervious coverage. But I do see this also as an improvement. I'm glad you're not knocking the house down. I'm glad to see a historical house sort of refurbished. So I see it as C1 hardship. I see no detriment. I see an advancement of the MLUL in that you're improving the housing stock. And I would vote, I would ask the board attorney to draft a resolution granting the waiver, granting the variances, saw it tonight with all of the stipulations stated here this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann.
And I will second that. I love seeing, especially it's a very visible part of town.
Yeah, it's right along North Maple, very busy.
Fixing up these old homes.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Proctor. I agree that the whole property is, you know, such a challenging shape, and where you are, there's a lot of challenges associated with this property. But I do really like your designs. I like the additions are set back further, you know, from the front. I think it'll be a beautiful project, and I think it'll, you know, I think it will add a lot of character, you know, to that road as people drive by. And I appreciate, with respect to, you know, the lot coverage, that you're making an effort not to go any higher. You're already over its grandfather. You're gonna try and take some away. So we appreciate that. So thank you for being thoughtful, around, doing that. And, you know, as Mr. Quinn pointed out, just be careful with those numbers.
Understood.
All right, Ms. Slayman?
Dr. Arborwell?
Yes.
Ms. Padici?
Yes.
Ms. Baumann?
Yes.
Ms. Proctor?
Yes.
Ms. Silver?
Yes.
Chairwoman Kinnear?
Yes. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Okay. And you're okay, you're okay to see, you're one more. Okay, we're gonna take just a 5-minute break. We will hear your case. Just give us 5 minutes to take a quick break and we'll go, okay? Thank you for being patient.
Cars, yes, very into
Oh, very good. Okay, we're gonna, call back to order, our meeting. Here, I think all the board members are here and accounted for, which is great. Unfortunately, it's 10:05, no, I'm just kidding. Our next case is Zelinski, which is ZB 25012.
Madam Chair, while we're getting this screen not set up,
Yeah.
it's coming down. That's all good.
Okay.
Gotcha. I'll just point out for the record, I did have an opportunity to review the applicant's notice here. I find it to be sufficient in terms of its content, timeliness, and service. Published in the Burnsville News on June 19th, and sent to owners of property within 200 feet by certified mail on June 18th. All the content was good, so my legal opinion, the board has the jurisdiction to hear and decide the case.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Zelinski, I
Thank you.
take it?
Yes,
Okay. Just you will be testifying tonight, or do you have any witnesses?
it's just me.
Okay, all right, so we got you, so I need to swear you in as well as our two board professionals. All three of you can raise your right hands for me. All three of you swear or affirm that the testimony about to provide the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Great. And just for the record, Mr. Zelinski, name and address, please.
Patrick Zelinsky, 61 Madisonville Road.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. So you want to tell us why you're here? We have a copy of your application. You want
Yes,
to tell us why
so-
you're here and what you're asking for tonight?
There's an existing garage, and it's on, I think, about 7 feet of the easement, and I want to knock that garage down and build a 3-car garage in its place, but forward off the easement. And
So you're going to replace a 2-car garage with a 3-car garage?
Yes.
And move it forward?
and move it forward, yes. And I don't have technically a backyard according to, you know.
According to Mr. Slime,
Yeah, I
three
guess.
front yards.
So you can't have, you know, a garage and a front yard, so that's why I'm here.
Did you get a copy of his memo?
Probably, which one was it? Yeah, oh, yes, yes it did, yep.
Mr. Slide, would you mind taking us through maybe, just so that we can address it?
Yeah, looking at my July 3, 2025 memo. Yeah, the only variance here is there's an existing structure, accessory building in a front yard, and it is somewhat of a technical front yard because
Yes.
the frontage is Route 287, which is not only interstate highway, it's got a big sound wall and
Yeah.
not your typical front yard. But anyway, this is a case where you have beyond partial destruction of a structure. If Mr. Slinsky wanted to just repair the garage, he would be allowed to, but it's no longer not grandfathered because he's removing it completely, building a new structure. The existing nonconformity of having an accessory building in the front yard is being removed, the grandfathering is lost. Needs a new variance to allow the new structure, which if you compare is slightly more conforming.
Because it's closer to the house.
It's closer to the direction of where it would be conforming, even though it's still a long way to go. But anyway, comment number 1 in my memo is just describing the property. It's, you look at it, it looks more like a through lot from one street to another. Technically, it's a corner lot because it's only at the intersection of 2 streets. It's just that the angle is so slight, and because it's 287, there's an irregular, excessive right-of-way, and it ends up looking like there's 3 front yards, which technically there are, and only 1 side property line. And the only area where a conforming accessory building could be is if you're looking at the house to the right, which is to the west, directly to the side of the house, between the side of the house and the side property line, which would be on top of the existing driveway, and it's not even a nice rectangular area. It's an oddball shape that is just, I think anybody would say, impractical. Anyway, all of the rest of the property, I estimate it to be about 95% of the property is front yard. So no accessory structures with the exception of 1 small area. Comment number 2 is actually another benefit of this project. The new garage is going to be located on top of the footprint partially on top of the footprint of the existing garage and then partially on top of existing driveway. So there's actually a reduction, 177 square feet in lot coverage. And another benefit is well, we talked about the garage being further away from 287. It's also presently encroaches upon a sanitary sewer easement, and the proposed garage will be located off of that easement. And that is, comment number 3 is a question for the applicant. You know, you can use a garage for permitted accessory uses, workshop, playroom, keep your vehicles, that kind of thing. Can't live in it. So you agreed to that.
Yes.
Comment number 4 relates to the fact that work will be done within the sanitary sewer easement. So the applicant's being advised to reach out to the sewage authority and see whether they want to keep an eye on it or whatever, approve the work before he gets started. And also that he provides an as-built survey, at least of that part of the site, showing that the garage was indeed constructed outside of the easement. And are we agreeing to number 4?
Yes, yep.
And then number 5, are any trees coming down? Do you plan to take down any trees?
Yes, so there is one tree behind this garage,
Yeah, I see it.
and it's the tree of heaven, and it's beyond infested with spotted lanternflies. So regardless of doing the garage, I wanted to take that tree down anyway. Plus it's I guess half dead, and there's big branches falling off of it, hitting this garage already, so.
And it's an invasive species.
Yeah, exactly, so.
Another benefit.
Yeah, getting rid of that tree would.
Anyway, but depending on the size of the tree, it's probably not 30 inches or more. You are allowed to remove a certain amount of trees over a certain number of years under our new tree ordinance without having to replace them.
Okay.
But if it's a certain size, I don't know if it's 30 inches or 33 inches caliper, it would require replacement. You'd still be subject to replacement requirements.
Okay.
But regardless, you'll agree to comply with the town ordinance on tree replacement.
Okay, so by taking this one down, I have to plant a new tree
You
anywhere
could.
on
It depends. You're allowed a certain number of trees over the course of a certain number of years.
Okay.
I think it's 4 trees over 5 years, but if the tree's beyond a certain diameter, and it's
Okay.
a pretty big number, it's
Okay.
around 30, that exemption doesn't apply. You have to replace it no matter how many you take
Okay.
down. So you could, but
Okay.
you can look at the ordinance, or I can direct you to that.
Okay,
But I think for the purpose of tonight, you can just agree to
yes,
comply with the ordinance.
yes.
And that covers everything in my memo.
Did you, Mrs. Zins, you take these photos that are part
Yes,
of
I
your
did, yep,
application?
yep.
Okay. And, when did you take them?
A
Approximately.
month ago?
Okay.
About a
And does
month.
it essentially look like this now?
Yeah, it's
Like what we're
exactly
looking
like
for?
that, yep.
Can we see the tree that you're taking down in any of these photos?
I took actually pictures of it on my phone, but yeah, it's this one right here.
Is that one big one behind it?
One directly
Oh,
to
that
the
one
rear.
right behind it.
Right behind.
There's one's from it. Not that one. Check the next one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. It's this one, page 4.
That's what I thought.
Page 4. Ms. Pucker, page 4, that's the tree that's coming down.
Yes. Yeah, the one directly.
Okay, did you talk to any of your neighbors about this project?
Yeah, so this lot number 2, Jeff, we've actually become really good friends. He's also into cars, and he's in the process of building a garage too on his lot, so, yeah, he doesn't object to it at all. He's very much,
Is the garage gonna be used to park cars?
yeah, park cars, yep.
Fix cars, or what do you do?
I'm a mechanic by trade, but just to work on my own cars.
Okay, but no one's living there, or?
No,
Okay.
nope,
You got anything cool?
I do.
Is the new garage going to look about the same?
Yeah, I'd like to have it look the same on the outside, with the
Okay.
siding and some I think the architect put these, I'm not sure what they're called, but.
I noticed it has a,
These things, because the front of the house has these arches here, so I kind of want that look also to go.
I
Yeah.
noticed that this garage had a door on the side. Is there a little storage area?
No, it's just the man door to get into it,
Oh, all right.
and then it has the barn-style doors for cars to
Okay.
drive into the front. But that garage looks nothing like the house. It's red and white, and the house is like a grayish white.
Yeah.
So the new garage will match siding
Oh,
wise.
you want to have the same as the
Yeah, I
house,
want to do the same
so
kind of
that'll be nice.
siding, yep.
I thought when you were saying the same, you were saying the same look that's here, you want it to be the same as what the house is.
Yes,
Right.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yeah, Dave covered most of it. The thing I do want to point out is my comment number 4, you can strike that, because that was misplaced. I was trying to suggest that he's changed the chart to 50 feet, but it's not, that's not standard. Just 4 is to strike.
Gotcha.
And then 5 is the one, again, that you heard talk about before. The town engineer may look at this, I don't think he'll hit even 2,500 square feet, but he may look at this and say you need some total.
Right, right,
That's a chance. Just-
right,
that-
okay,
That's really all I have.
okay.
Okay.
My turn?
Yeah, you
Okay.
do it.
The Environmental Commission, kind of the standard list of conditions they request. They ask that you implement stormwater best management practices during site work and as part of final regrading and restoration. Implement best management practices to protect and preserve trees during site work, with the exception of the tree you're gonna be removing, obviously.
Mhm.
They want you to be aware of the potential for in-ground tanks, lead paint, and asbestos, given the age of the potential age of the
I actually brought the paperwork, I had a tank sweep done when I bought the house.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you guys want that on file or something, but there were no tanks or anything, so.
The engineering department might be interested in it, but
Okay.
I don't think the board really needs to, take every time with that. Okay, and then during demolition of the existing garage, they ask that you consider recycling, repurposing, or gifting any of the demolished material that you're not gonna be reusing.
Sure.
So, okay, so you comply with all those?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so that's all,
Thank you.
pretty short.
Okay, any other questions for this applicant from the board? Any questions from the public? No? Any comments from the public? No? Okay, anything else for us, or you want to turn it over to us?
No, that's it.
Okay,
Yep.
great, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Padici?
I think that the knocking down the current garage looks a little dilapidated.
It is, yeah.
kind of worn
It's-
out its welcome.
Yeah,
I think,
I agree.
having a new garage and making it similar to the house will actually improve the property and make it more attractive. And as I said, this is a really interesting lot.
Yeah, it's
Bernard's
unfortunate.
Township has a lot of them, but this one is pretty interesting, and I think that you tried to do the best that you could and enhance the property, so I would certainly be in favor of the application.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Padici. Do you want to just roll right into a motion?
I'd like to deem the application complete and ask the board attorney to draft a resolution approving the application with the stipulations that have been agreed upon. As you well know, I don't get into C variances that much.
No, you're good though.
So I'll let someone else determine whether it's a C1 or a C2, but I would make that motion.
Thank you. I'm happy to jump in. I'll second that motion. I do think it's under C1. I think your yards, it's very challenging, whether it's 2 front yards or 3 front yards. But, if you take a look at the property, and I did drive by the property, the 287, I mean, it's basically a backyard.
Yeah,
It
with a
seems like it's a
30-foot wall.
backyard, until
Yeah.
Measure Slide tells us it's a front yard.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it kind of operates like that. I agree with Ms. Padici. I think it's an improvement to your property. I think it's an improvement to the neighborhood. I don't see any downside, so I second the motion.
Jill, hold on, just see one?
I said C1.
Okay, just see one. And then, okay, I'm sorry, just real quick, one variance was the garage in the front yard. That's it. And then-
That's all we had.
Mhm.
And then the only conditions were the 3 memos that we touched on, so.
That's right.
What's up?
That's right, thank you. Ms. Lehman?
You can only add your own.
Dr. Arwell?
Yes.
Ms. Padici?
Yes.
Ms. Baumann?
Yes.
Ms. Bonzar?
Yes.
Ms. Silver?
Yes.
Chairwoman Janier?
Yes. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for being
much.
patient.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a quick one.
That might have been a record. No.
I don't know if it was a record. I don't think so.
Yes, I know. It's past my bedtime too.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes.
To answer your question before, it's 99
Yeah. I dabble a little bit, I'm not an expert, but I'm a lawyer, unfortunately, I get my hands dirty. But I got an F-150, and don't always study, trying to do stuff.
He'll buy one of your cars maybe, I don't know. All right, thank you, good luck. with
Congratulations,
everything.
good luck.
Can we skip number 9 for tonight?
Yeah, actually, in August,
Yeah,
we're only, looking like we're gonna have 3
okay, so let's,
applications, so that's why it's nice.
all right, so let's do that. That's the zoning board of adjustment annual report and recommendations. So, Ms. Lehman, we're gonna put that on the agenda in August, which is great. I do think we're going to cancel our special meeting, Ms. Lehman, for whatever date that is, next week on Thursday. We're gonna cancel that meeting. Is it the 17th? We'll cancel that meeting, for the 17th. Are there any comments from members? Any comments from staff? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?